Hello everyone, welcome back. Hope you are doing well. Today is 1st April. It's an exciting day because it's the final day of our computer revision series. Can you believe it? We have covered so much and now it's time to wrap it all up in one epic video. We are going to cover the entire portion of computer science in just one video. It's going to be intense, but I know you can handle it. Alright, are you ready? Let's do this. But before we begin, remember to stay focused, take breaks when you need them, and most importantly, believe in yourself. Starting the video with the revision of chapter number 1, Python revision tour. The most important topic of this chapter is token. Here are the 5 tokens that we have studied in class 11 as well as in class 12. Out of these, you will be focusing on the keyword, identifier and operators. So let's check out the first token, that is keyword. You know, keywords are the special words which have some reserved meaning to the programming language. Here is the list of the keywords. Out of all these keywords, these 3 keywords are special. Why they are so special? Because the first alphabet is capital in case of true, false and none. You may get question in the exam that whether it is a valid identifier or not, and yes, it is a valid identifier because it is not a keyword anymore. We did not write first alphabet as capital. Same rule applies to these 2 keywords also. We will focus on one more keyword, that is non-local. In the question where you need to find out the correct keyword, it will be written as non-local to test your knowledge. So the non-local keyword we are writing without any space or any underscore. I think there is no doubt related to other keywords. Just have a look at the list of the keywords, then you can solve the question related to keywords. The second important token is identifier. Surely you will get one question based on it where you need to find out the valid or invalid identifier. For that, you should be clear with the rules for designing an identifier. What's the first rule? The variable name should not be a keyword. Just now we saw the list of the keywords, so keep in mind all the keywords. The second rule is variable name must be designed with letters, numbers or underscore. Underscore is allowed as a first character also, but number is not allowed as a first character. That is also one of the important rule. You cannot design any variable like this in which the variable is getting started with a number. Here is one more important rule, that special symbols are not allowed. Except underscore, you cannot use any other special symbols like star, question mark and dash. So fix this rule in mind and get this 1 mark. The third and the most important token is operators. Operators will be used throughout the programming portion. So let's look at the categories of the operator. They are categorized into 2 types, unary and binary. Unary operator operates on only one operand. Here are the some of the examples of unary operator. Plus and minus are both unary as well as binary operator, but not is only a unary operator. If we write not of true, it will be false. It will negate the value. So it operates only on one operand. Similarly, plus and minus we can write as this, plus 10 or minus 5. Whereas the second category is binary operators. It operates on 2 operands. Operands means it can be a constant or variable. Out of these, we need to focus on relational operators, arithmetic operators, logical operators as well as membership operators more. In this chapter, we will be getting question for 1 mark in which we need to find out the valid arithmetic, relational or logical operators. To make sure, write the list of the operators here. Arithmetic operators are plus, minus, multiplication, division, modulus and exponentiation operator. There is one more arithmetic operator, that is floor division. You are well familiar with the relational operators. There are 6 relational operators: less than, equals to, greater than, equals to and not equals to. Now let's talk about the logical operators. There are 3 logical operators, and, or and the third one is not. Apart from these three operators, we will be concentrating on membership operators also, because we will be using it in the looping statements. There are two membership operators, in and not in. Out of that, in operator is important. I think concentrating on these four operators will be sufficient for this chapter. I think no need to discuss more about assignment operator. This assignment operator will be using more. Sometimes we can use this arithmetic assignment operator also. Let me clear you in short what is the use of this arithmetic assignment operator. Let's consider one example. We need to increment the previous value of x by 1. So this statement we can rewrite using this shorthand assignment operator, or we can call it as a arithmetic assignment operator. It looks like this: x plus equals to 1. When we study this topic operator, to know operator precedence is very important. In the exam, you will surely get one question where you need to evaluate the expression. That time you should have the knowledge of the precedence of the operators, because on the basis of precedence the operators get evaluated. Here is the table where we have written the operators from the highest to lowest precedence. You are already familiar with the maths BODMAS rule. Same applies here. So among all the operators, parenthesis is having the highest precedence. To keep in mind the sequence of the precedence, we will create one word for that. The first is parenthesis. So P is for parenthesis. After parenthesis, exponentiation operator has the higher precedence. So we have written E for it. The next important category in which we need to focus on is arithmetic operators. Let's write A for arithmetic operators. In arithmetic operators also there are two levels of precedence. In the first level we have these four operators, and in the second level we have plus and minus. In the precedency table, the next category of operators is relational operators. So let's write R for it. Moving ahead, there are logical operators. So let's write L for it. Out of these three logical operators, not is having higher priority, followed by and at last OR will get evaluated. So let's remember this word Perl to know the operator precedence. Now we are clear with the precedence of the operators. What if in the expression we have more than one operators with the same precedence? That time we will follow the concept of associativity. Associativity means we will decide that operators will get evaluated from left to right or from right to left. So all the operators will get operated from left to right, but there is an exception. Only exponentiation operator operates from right to left. If we have more than two exponentiation operator in the expression, then it will get evaluated from right to left. Hope now you don't have any doubt regarding operators. Moving one step ahead, now we have to concentrate on the conditional statement. So there are four types of conditional statements. Out of this we will be focusing on these two, if else and if elif. Let's directly understand with one example with the hope that you know the syntax. We write if, then condition, with the colon we create block of statements. Condition will get evaluated as true or false. If it is true, it will come to this part, and if the condition is false, it will come to the else part. With this form of if, we can write only one condition, but if we have more conditions, we can go ahead with this type of if. So with if we will be writing first condition, then we can continue the other conditions with elif, and finally we will be getting else block. In this code we are checking greater of two numbers, and with this code we are finding out whether the number is positive, negative or 0. Be clear with the syntax of if statement, because you may get questions where you need to find the errors in the given code. So proceeding further, this is very important, that is looping statements. Out of these two loops generally we use for loop. In the for loop we will be using range function. I hope you are clear with the range function also. Here is the syntax. First we mention the lower limit. By default it is 0. The second parameter is upper limit, which is exclusive, and the final parameter is step value. Along with for we use range function, or we can use in operator too. When we use the concept of looping, if you want to come out of the loop in between, we will be using jump statement, that is break. Generally, we write break statement with if. If the condition satisfies, then we will come out of the loop. We know break statement will terminate the immediate loop, not all the loops. Let's try to understand for loop how it works on the sequence. It works in the similar way with the list, tuple and string. So let me show you it on a string. Here is the first way of for loop in which we are using in operator. So look at the syntax. For variable in sequence. Sequence can be list, tuple or string. To create block, we should not miss the colon and the statements in that body which we need to repeat. Let's consider one example. Here is a string with some value. Now let's iterate over this string. For this is a variable in string 1. In the block we are writing print statement. So the characters one by one will get printed. As it is iterating over each character one by one, so the characters are getting printed in the new line. If you want it in the same line, you can use the end parameter of the print statement. Now the same program we will be writing with the second type of for, in which we are using range function. So here is the syntax. For variable in range, and the syntax of the range function you know. We will be mentioning start, stop and the third parameter is step. First parameter is optional and the third parameter is also optional. If you don't mention start, it will start from 0 and you can skip this step part. By default the step will be 1 and the second parameter, that is stop, is exclusive. Now look at the code. The string is same. Now let's write for loop. For I in range. In the range function we are providing the length of the string 1. And the length of the string means the number of characters in a string, that is 10. So the loop will get executed in range of 10. We skip the start parameter. By default it will start with 0. Here is the second parameter. Outer limit doesn't include, so it will be 9. The loop will get started from 0 and it will continue up to 9. In this example, we iterate directly over characters of the string. But in this example, we are iterating over numbers. These are nothing but the indices of the string. So ultimately, it is starting with the index 0 and going up to index 9. Now look at the print statement. If we directly print I, we will be getting the numbers. But we don't want these numbers. We need the characters of the string. For that, we will be writing the string name and the index in the square bracket. Finally, here will be the output of this program. Hope you understood what we were trying to do here. Using for loop, we can iterate using index or using elements. The another type of loop is while loop. It is generally used to create infinite loop and we come out of the loop using break statement. Maximum times we use this loop to create menus. Here is the format to write while loop. The first step is initialization, second step is to write condition and third step is to update that expression or condition. Same program we have modified using while loop. I is initialized to 0. This is the initialization step, that is first step. With while we need to write the condition. As we are starting with 0, I will go 1 less than the length of the string. Then we are printing it. And here is the third step to update that expression. We are incrementing it by 1. So the loop will continue from 0 to 9 and all the characters of this string will get printed. So we are getting this output. Now it's time to move ahead and check out the chapter number 2, that is Python revision tool 2. Chapter 2 contains the detailed study of these 4 data types: string, list, tuple as well as dictionary. I know you have already studied these concepts in the class 11th, but I would suggest to go through this chapter thoroughly once again because these concepts are gonna help us throughout the Python programming portion. Out of that 4 data types, first of all let's discuss string. String is a sequence of characters. Here is the important property we should keep in mind, that strings are immutable. Immutable means we cannot change the content of the string in place. Here are some of the operations which we can perform on string. We can create string, we can access the elements of the string that we do using index. And the third operation which we can perform on string is slicing. Slicing means extracting the portion of the string. We can create string by enclosing the character in double quote, in single quote, or we can use triple single quotes or triple double quotes too. We use index to access the individual elements of the string. To iterate over the string to access all the characters, you can use in membership operator. It will iterate over the characters. If you want to iterate over the string using index, you can use range function along with in operator. To extract a portion from the string, we can use slicing. For that, we need to mention the starting index and the ending index. Both are optional. You can skip it also. In that case, whole string will be considered. Remember, ending index is exclusive. Upper limit doesn't include in it. Along with starting and ending index, you can mention step like ending index. Step value is also exclusive. You know, string can be accessed in the forward direction as well as in the backward direction. So, slicing also can be done in the forward direction using positive index or in the backward direction using negative index. So, that was all about the different operations that we can perform on the string. Look at the example. We are joining two strings using plus operator. It is a concatenation operator. It combines two strings. There is one more operator star. It is called as replication operator. You can easily understand this with example. We are repeating this dash 30 times. The next operator which we can use with the string is membership operator. It checks the existence of the character in the string. Here we are checking whether this B character is present in the string 1. Along with membership operators, we can use comparison operators also. The comparison of the character is done based on the Unicode value of that character. Now let's proceed to the next topic. Alright, here is the list of the methods and functions which we can apply on the string. It looks very easy, but you should be clear with the use of each and every method. Len function calculates the number of characters in a string. Here is one string. When we apply len function on that string, we got the number of characters. The second method is capitalize. It converts the first alphabet of the string to uppercase. Look at the example. Lowercase d got converted to capital D. Here is the third function find. It finds the lowest index of the substring in a main string. Here is the syntax. Look at the example. We need to find the substring in the main string. This string is getting started with the index 2. So we got 2 here. Here is the category of is functions which will return the result in the form of true or false. Here is the first method is alnum. It will check whether the string contains alphanumeric characters or not. Is alpha returns true if string contains alphabets. Whereas is digit function checks whether string contains digits or not. In this category, we have some more function. Is space, is lower, is upper, is title. Is space returns true if all the characters are white spaces. If all the characters are in lowercase, is lower will return true. The working of is upper is similar. If all the characters are in uppercase, it will return true. With is title function, we can check whether the title of the string is title case or not. Now here is another category. With the help of these functions, we can convert the letters. With lower, we can convert string to lowercase. With upper, we can change it to uppercase. With title method, we can change the string into title case. Go through this example. Here are two more functions which will return the result in the form of true or false. Starts with function will return true if the string starts with the specified parameter. And the reverse of it is ends with. If the string is getting ended with the pass parameter, it will return true. There are some more functions. With swap case, we can change uppercase character to lowercase or vice versa. With partition function, we can partition the string based on the pass parameter. Here is the separator. This is the string before the separator, and at last we will get the string after the separator. In this way, we will get tuple with 3 elements. With count function, we can count the occurrence of the substring. In this example, the word B is 2 times. The second important data type that we are going to discuss is list. List contain values of mixed data type which are separated by comma and it is enclosed in a square bracket. We know string is immutable. We cannot change the content of the string in place. But list is mutable. We can change the content of the list. The operations which we perform on the string can be performed on the list too. First is creation. You know how to create list. You have to enclose the elements in a square bracket which are separated by comma. To access the elements of the list, you can use index, same as string. And the slicing operation is also exactly same as string. Only the difference between string and list is string is immutable and list is mutable. The operators which we are gonna apply on the list will be exactly same as string. When we use concatenation operator, both the operand should be of same data type. It means list can be concatenated with only list. The same rule applies with string and tuple too. Now look at the sum of the functions and the methods associated with list. The first is index method. It gives the index of first match element. The important method associated with list is append. It is used to add item at the end of the list. Here is the given list. We need to add one item to the list, so it will get added at the end. There is one more method to add element at the last, that is extend, but it adds multiple items. Here is one list and here is another list. List 2 got extended to the list 1. So look at the output. With append and extend method, we can add item at the last. But with insert method, you can add item at the specified position. So you got inserted at the index 3. Mob method is used to remove an item from the list. Parameter is index and the element at the specified index will get deleted. Remove function also removes the item from the list, but here we will be providing value, not index. There is one more way to delete an item from the list using del statement, with the help of which we can delete a sub-range from the list. Look at the example. This range will get deleted from the list. With clear method, all the items will get deleted and the list will become empty. With del statement, the list object will get deleted along with its elements. But with clear method, only elements will get deleted. The list object will exist. The working of count is same in case of string, tuple and list. It counts the occurrence of the item. With reverse method, you can reverse the items of the list. Look at the output when we apply the reverse method. The list elements got reversed. With sort, we will be sorting the elements of the list. By default, it will get sorted in the ascending order. If you want to sort in the descending order, then write reverse equals to true. By default, it is in the ascending order. When you will mention reverse equals to 2, it will get reversed. Proceeding to the next data type, that is tuple. Like list, tuple also contains mixed data type which are separated by comma. Then what's the difference? List is mutable whereas tuple is immutable. We enclose list element in square bracket, but in case of tuple we use round bracket. The operations which will be performing on tuple is same as string and list. We create tuple, we can access the elements of the tuple using index. Even we can do the slicing on the tuple in exactly same manner. To create tuple, we need to enclose the item in the round brackets which are separated by comma. To create empty tuple, we will be writing empty round brackets. To create single element tuple, enclose first element in the bracket and don't forget to write comma. This is how we create the single element tuple. If you will write like this, Python will consider it as a integer, not as a tuple. Other two operations we will be performing in exactly same way. These operators also work exactly in the same way. Now it's time to check out some of the functions and methods associated with tuple. With len function, we will get the number of elements in the tuple. In this tuple, there are 2 elements. With max function, we will get the maximum element of the tuple. Look at the tuple. We got 50, which is a maximum element in this tuple. As name suggests, it will give the minimum element of the tuple. In this tuple, the minimum element is 10. With the index method, we will get the index of the first match element from the tuple. Look at the tuple. We need to find the index of the element 30 and the first match index is 2. The next function is count, with the help of which we will be counting the occurrence of the item. 40 is 3 times in this tuple. Here is the important method associated with tuple data type. It is used to create tuples. We can create empty tuple or we can create tuple from other data types like string, list or dictionary. Finally, we are at the fourth data type, that is dictionary. This is very important topic of Python programming language. Dictionary contains the elements in the form of key value pair. The keys are immutable, we cannot change it, but the value is mutable in case of dictionary. The operations and the operators which we have discussed for string, tuple and list is not applicable to dictionary. It's time to go through some of the functions and methods associated with dictionary. It will be different from the functions related to string, tuple and list. But the working of len function is same. It will count the number of elements. In this dictionary, there are 2 elements which is in the form of key value pair. Clear method also works in the same way. It will remove all the items and the dictionary will become empty. If you want to get the value of a particular key, then you can use get method. Look at the example. With get2, you will be getting the value of the key 2. The next method is items. Item returns all the items in the dictionary as a sequence of key comma value in the form of tuple. Look at the example. Here is one more important method, that is keys. It returns all the keys of the dictionary. No argument. When we applied keys function, you got all the keys of the dictionary. If we have function to get all the keys, we will surely have the function to get all the values. Look at the example. We got the values from the dictionary. To merge the elements of 2 dictionary, we can use update method. It will update the new dictionary into the original one. This is the original dictionary and this is the new one. Look at the output. It got merged. Alright, we covered 2 chapters. Let's move ahead to the 3rd chapter, working with functions. You know what is function, right? It is a set of instructions which perform specific task. The main advantage of function is reusability. You can reuse the code in the main program. Here is the general format to write a function. First we will be writing the keyword def followed by the name of the function. It will be an identifier. If we are passing the parameters to the function, we will be writing here. Otherwise it will be empty brackets. We will be writing the set of statements in the function, so for that we will be creating block using colon. Alright, let's consider one simple example of function. MSG is the name of the function that we have written followed by the keyword def, and here are the empty parameters as we are not passing any parameter to it. Don't forget to write colon. The statement inside the block will be at the different indentation level. In the function we are printing one message, welcome. Make sure you are well familiar with the syntax of the function because you will be getting question in which you need to find out the errors which will be based on function. Here is one more example in which we are passing the parameters to the function. Here sum is the function name and xy are the parameters. The set of statement which we write in the function, it is generally called as body of the function. Actually, function is a subprogram. So, if you want to pass some value back to the main, that we will be doing using return statement. How to do it? That we will be discussing in this video. While defining a function, the first line of the function is called as function header, in which we write the keyword def and it is followed by the colon. So, this is nothing but the function header. Here also, this is the function header. Now you know how to define a function, but function is a subprogram. Then how it will get executed? For that we need to call that function in the main program. Alright, then let's check out how to call a function. We will be writing function call statement and the format is like this. We need to write the function name and the parameters which we need to pass to the function. With the example, we will check out how to call the function message which we have created. We will be writing the name of the function followed by the brackets. Here is the function call statement for the second type of function which we have created. The name of the function followed by the parameter list in the bracket. 10 will get passed to x and 20 will get passed to y. Here we are calculating and passing back the result to the main function that we are printing using print statement. If you want to collect that return statement in some variable, that also you can do it. Later we are printing it. So to execute function, you need to call it in the main program. Moving ahead, we are going to discuss one more important topic related to function, that is arguments and parameters. You will be getting question in the form of differentiate between actual parameters and formal parameters. So what are arguments? Arguments are the values which we pass from the function call statement. So in this case, we will call 10 and 20 as actual arguments, or simply we can call it as a argument also. Then what are parameters? We are passing some values to the function. So the variables which will receive that values are called as parameters, or we can call it as a formal parameters too. If you are getting confused between arguments and parameters, just keep in mind one of these two. The variables in the function header are parameters. Then ultimately arguments will be the values or variables which we are passing from the function call statement. We know function we use to perform specific task. You can easily understand this concept with one example, the way electrician and carpenter does their specific job. But they will come to your home when you will call it. In the same way, we call the functions also from the main program. Let's assume that I want carpenter to do some furniture work for me. But I want the carpenter to use the material which I am providing to him. In the same way, we will be passing the value to the function from the main program. So there are three ways in which we can pass value to the function. The first one is positional argument. In case of positional argument, we must provide the values for all the parameters. You can see here there are two parameters, that's why we are passing true values. The values of the argument will get matched to the parameters according to the position. Here is one function to calculate the simple interest. There are three parameters, that's why there are three arguments too. 1000 will get initialized to P, 5 will get initialized to T, and 8.5 will get initialized to R. We are calculating the result and returning back to it, that we are accepting in one variable and getting printed. We can conclude from our discussion that in case of positional argument, we have to pass values for all the parameters. We cannot skip any one. Moving ahead to the second type of argument, it is called as default argument. In this case, we can provide some default value for the parameters in the function header. Here there are three parameters and we are providing default value for the z. Now look at the function call. In the first function call, we are passing only two values. So 2 will get initialized to x and 3 will get initialized to y. We are not providing value for z, then 10 will get considered for z. Now look at the second function call. We are passing three values. What does it mean? It is the value of x, 3 will get initialized to y and 4 will get initialized to z. If we pass specific values, that will get initialized. If we don't pass, default value will get considered. One point we can note down for this type of argument, the default argument should be at the last. We cannot specify the default argument in the beginning or somewhere else also. It should be at the last only. So here is the note. Required parameter should be before the default parameters. That's why in the function header we have specified this default argument at last. Here is the third type of the parameter. It is known as keyword or named parameter. In this case, when we call the function, we will be passing the value with their name. That's why it is called as named parameter. Look at this statement, x equals to 10 and y is equals to 20. We are specifically mentioning the name of the variable along with the value. So when it will get passed, it will go to x only and y will go to y. In this case, we pass the parameter using name itself. So we can change the order too. Though we are writing y in the beginning, but the value of y will go to y and the value of x will go to x itself. Hope you understood all three types of passing parameters. To perform specific task, we are using function. Then after performing that task, the value will get returned to the main program. So for returning the value, we will be using return statement that we are going to consider now. How to return value from the function. but it is not compulsory. Function may or may not return the value that we are going to study now. So consider the first one where the function is returning some value to the main program. For that we will be using return statement. Here is the syntax. The keyword return followed by the value. It can be variable or constant. Look at the example. Here we are passing directly one constant, and in the second example we are passing one variable. Along with that constant or variable, even we can pass expression directly like x plus y, or you can even use the constant. So here is our usual and the simplest example. In this example, we are calling the function and passing two values to the function. Function calculated the result and we are returning it to the main program that we are accepting in one variable and printing it. You can see here, to return value to the main program, we use return statement. In this way, function returns the value to the main program. Just like this, I called the carpenter and asked him to make study table for me. For that material also I provided to him. Then he worked on it and gave back that study table to me. Now let's try to understand the case in which function is not returning any value to the main program. Look at this example. Here we are calling some function and passing two arguments to the function. Function worked on it, but it is not returning value to the main program. Here itself we are printing the result. Let's try to understand with the same carpenter example. I called the carpenter and asked him to make the study table for me. He made it but did not give back to me. Okay, let him keep with him. This is a bad example, but you understood the concept, right? Now look at the another example. We are calling one function here and just printing one message. Look at this function. There is no return statement. Still I am accepting the value of that function in one variable, and when I will try to print it, what I will get? I will get none. So from this, what we can conclude? Python returns none though the function is not returning any value. The function which doesn't return anything is called as void function. So based on the different criteria, whether we are passing the argument or returning it back or not, here are the four possible combinations of the function. What's the first category? Void means function is not returning any value. Non-void means function will return value. This category got divided into another two categories, without argument or with argument. Without argument means what? We are not passing any argument to the function. With argument means we are passing the argument. So we are not passing argument and not getting back anything. We are passing the argument but not getting anything. Whereas come to the second category, non-void function means it is returning the value. For this also it is got divided into same two categories, without argument and with argument. So what's this combination is? Without argument means we are not passing argument, still we are getting back some value. And with argument means we are passing the argument and getting it back something. Now let's write the functions for these four different types of categories. The first is void function without argument. Without argument means we are not passing anything to the function. That is fine. Now come to the function definition. Not passing parameter, so not accepting anything. Not accepting anything means function will take its own values. We initialize a and b, calculated something and printing it here itself. Why? Because we are not passing any value to the main function, because it is a void function. Now relate this example to carpenter. I called the carpenter and asked him to make study table for me. For that I did not give any material to the carpenter. Got his own material and he made the study table and he kept with him. Now you will ask me, then why I called the carpenter? Makes no sense, I know, but try to understand this type of function using the example. Now look at the second type of function. Void means not returning anything. What's the second criteria? With argument. Here is the function call. With argument means we are passing some values to the function. So 10 got initialized to A, 20 got initialized to B. In function we are calculating something You know this is a type of void function, means not returning anything. So we are printing the result here itself. Okay, now it's time to relate to our carpenter example. I called the carpenter and asked him to make study table. Even I provided material to the carpenter to make study table. He made it but did not give back to me. So this is a case of cheating, right? Hope you understood from this example what we are trying to do exactly here. Let's erase everything and move ahead to the next category. Now we are in the non-void function. Non-void means we will return some value to the main program. But look at the subcategory. Here we are not passing any argument to the function. Look at the example. We are not passing any argument. It means function will take its own value. Perform some calculation and it is a non-void function, means we need to return value. That we are accepting one variable. That we are accepting in one variable and printing it. Now it's time to call carpenter. I called the carpenter and asked him to make study table. In this case, I am not providing any material to the carpenter. So carpenter will get his own material. He made the study table and gave back to me. Time to check out the last category, non-void with argument. Non-void means it will return some value but with argument. With argument means we are passing some value to the function. 10 will get passed to A, 20 will get passed to B. Some calculation is performed in the function and returning the value because it is a non-void function. The returned value is getting accepted in a variable and we are printing it. It's time to relate the function example with our carpenter example. In this case, we are providing material to the carpenter. So we provided it. Carpenter worked on it and created study table. That study table he returned back to me. Oh, finally we got some real life example which is working fine. Now we are going to discuss one more important concept related to function, that is scope. The variables which we declare inside the function are called local variables. And the variables which will be in the main program will be global variables. Local variables are accessible only in the function. So it has a local scope. Means these variables are accessible only within this block. You cannot access this outside the block. But n1 and n2 are local variables. It is accessible throughout the program. Even you can access it within the block. So we understood both the type of scope. The first is global and the second is local. The variables with the global scope can be accessible throughout the program, but the variables with the local scope will be confined to the particular block. If we look at this example, this str is a local variable. That's why if you will try to print it outside the function, you will get the error because it existed only within this block. There is no existence of this string variable outside the block. In function, this scenario may exist that local variable and the global variable is having same name. Look at this example. In the main program we have str variable, even in the function we have str variable. If you will try to access str within the block, the local variable will get priority. But what if I want to access this global variable inside the block? Then we will use global keyword along with that variable. Note this statement, global str. Global str means we are trying to access this global variable inside the block. If you will try to access the str variable without global keyword, then it will give priority to this local variable. This is also one of the important concept of function. You will be getting question of this form. If there are variable with the same name, then how the scope resolution will work? So there is a rule. It is called as LEGB rule. Local variable will get priority, then the enclosed, after that global variables, and then the built-in variables. We know what are local variables which are defined within the function. The E is for enclosed, means it is in the nested function concept. followed by global, which is at the uppermost level, means throughout the program it works. Finally, we have B means built-in, reserved names in the built-in modules, means the variables which we have created in the module. For now, we will consider only two, local and global. So, priority will be given to the local variables than to the global variables. Moving ahead to the next important topic, that how we can pass immutable type to a function and mutable type to a function. First, let's consider immutable type. You know what is immutable data type. We cannot change the content in place. If you will try to change, new variable will get created. Immutable data types are numbers, string and tuple. Here we are considering one number to understand the concept how to pass immutable data type. What will happen when we will pass immutable data type to function? Any changes in its value will also change the memory address it is referring to. What does it mean? Let's try to understand with one example. Here is a one integer type variable number. Now we call the function 1 and passing value to n. Number is a reference to a value 10 with some memory address. It is passed to the variable n. Now new variable got created. Inside the function we are updating the value of the n by 5. 10 plus 5 will be 15. In the function itself we are printing it. So we will be getting the output in function value equals to 15. Now come back to the main program. In main we are printing in main value equals to num. Look at the output. In main we are getting 10. Why? Because num is a different variable and n is a different variable. We updated the value of n, but the value of num is same, 10. It did not get changed because in case of immutable data type we cannot change the content in place. New variable will get created. But what if we pass mutable type to a function? Let's consider one mutable data type, that is list. Try to understand this concept with example. We have initialized one list. With the print statement we are printing the list, so we will get this message. After that we are calling the function and passing list to the function. In the function we are trying to update the value at the index 0. Look at the original list. It is 10, 20, 30. Now we are updating the first element with 15. After updating the element we are printing it. Look at the second output. In function the list is 15, 20, 30. 10 got updated to 15. Now we will come back to the main program. After changing the element in the main, again we are printing the list. Look at the output now. Whatever changes we have done, it is reflected back to main. Because in case of mutable data type, we can change the content in place, means at the same memory address we are changing the content. That's why the changes will reflect back to main. So this is the difference between passing immutable data type and mutable data type. In case of immutable data type, the changes will not reflect back to main, but in case of mutable data type, changes will reflect back to main. After the successful completion of chapter number 3, that is working with functions, we are gonna revise random module. According to the syllabus for the session 23-24, out of these 3 modules, random module is important. But we should be aware with the math module as well as statistics. We have studied these 3 modules in class 11 too. Let's just look at some of the functions in the math module. There is a power function to calculate power of a number. SQRT function is used to calculate square root. There are functions related to trigonometry. Here is the cell and floor function for rounding off. ABS function returns the absolute value of a number. There is one more function to calculate the absolute value, that is fabs. Like ABS function, it also returns the absolute value but in the form of float. Along with math module, just look at the sum of the function of statistics module. There are 3 important functions from this module we will be looking at. One is mean, to calculate the mean of the given data, whereas median function is used to calculate the middle value. Mode is used to calculate the most common value from the given data. In the recent sample question paper, there was one question based on mode function of the statistics module. Now moving ahead to the important module, that is random module. It is used to generate random numbers. Based on this topic, you will be getting question where you need to guess the output of the given code. For that, you should know these functions. The first function is random. Random function generates floating point number in the range 0.0 to 1. Now look at the second function from this module, randint. There are two parameters a and b. It generates the random integer numbers in the range a and b. A is the starting value and b is the ending value. Both should be integer and b is inclusive. There is one more function, randrange. It also generates a random number from the start value to stop value. Here stop value is exclusive. Even step is also exclusive. We can generate number by specifying steps. That was all about 3 modules. In this way we got an idea of 3 modules, math module, statistic module and the random module. Now we will be going through the topic exception handling. First of all, let's try to understand what is exception. Errors means it is a problem which occurs in the program execution and it stops the program. Errors are of 2 types, syntax error and the exception. When the syntax is wrong, we will be getting syntax error. But the syntax is correct. Still, we may get some errors, that is called as exception. It is an unexpected event that occurs during program execution. If we talk about syntax error means if we are not writing syntax correctly. Here colon is missing, that's why we are getting syntax error. True is a keyword and we are trying to use it as an identifier. So this also will give syntax error. Here we started double quote but forgot to end it. So when we don't follow the syntax of the programming language, we get the syntax error. Then in which scenario we get exception? Here is the first scenario where we are trying to divide the number by 0. The second scenario in which we are trying to import one module which doesn't exist. And here is the third scenario where we are trying to access a variable that doesn't exist. So in this case we got exception 0 division error. In the second case we got the exception module not found error. And in the third example we got name error. So there are different types of exceptions. Here is the list of the exception. Out of this we saw example on 0 division error, import error and name error. We understood that we will get exception, but how to handle it? For that we will be using the concept of exception handling. Here is the try except block with the help of which we will be handling the exception. Let's discuss each block one by one. The first block is try block. The statement which may result in exception that we will be writing in the try block. That is done, that exception occurs. Now how to handle it? That statement we will be writing in the except block. Here we are printing message, the denominator cannot be 0. Now if you will execute this code, you will not get any exception. You will get proper output. In this way we handle this exception 0 division error. So in try we write the statement which may result in exception and in except block we handle that exception. We discussed some examples which were causing exception. Now let's try to understand how to resolve it. We were trying to import one module which doesn't exist. That statement we have written in the try block. When this exception will occur, it will come to the except block and we are printing message invalid module name. So here is the output of the code. We are not getting any exception error. We covered one more example in which we were trying to print the value of z which doesn't exist. Now that statement we have written in the try block. When the error will occur, it will come to the except block and we are getting this output. If you know the name of the exception correctly, you can mention it with the except keyword. So this was import error and here we were getting name error. So that we have mentioned. If we don't mention any exception name, except block will handle all the types of exception. By specifying the correct name of the exception, we can catch specific exception. For that you will be writing the name of the exception here. Try block can have many except block. When we mention the name of the exception, mention the specific one in the beginning and then generalize at the last. Look at the example where we are dividing the number by 0. We know with this example we will get the exception 0 division error that we have mentioned. After that, one more exceptions we have specified, and finally the generalized one. So remember, whenever you catch the specific exception, write the specific one in the beginning and at last the generalized one. There is one more example where we are handling specific exception. One list is initialized, and with this statement we are trying to access the element which is at the index 10. This statement will result in an exception because there is no element at the index 10. We know the name of the exception, that is index error. So we have specified in the beginning, and after that we are specifying other type of exception. So the specific one in the beginning, and then you can mention other, and finally generalized one. We understood try and except block. There is one more block, that is else block. In the try block, we write the statement which result in exception. If exception occurs, it will come to the except block. But what if exception doesn't occur? Then it will come to the else block. Else block we need to write after all the except block. Look at this example. We know when we try to divide any number by 0, we will get the exceptions. So this block will get executed. But here there is no problem. Exception will not occur. That's why the control will not go to the except block. It will come to the else block. Here we are printing it. So we will get this output. We are clear with the try block, except block and the else block. There is one more block called as finally. We write the statement which will result in exception in the try block. If exception occur, we will come to except block. If exception doesn't occur, we will come to else block. But what about finally block? Whether exception occurs or not, the control will always come to finally block and this code will always run. This concept will be clear with this example. We are trying to divide by 0. So exception occurs. Then the control will come to the except block. This message will get printed. Denominator cannot be 0. In this case, else block will not execute because exception occurs. It went to the except block. It will not come to the else block now. Finally block is gonna execute. So we are getting this output. This is finally block. Hope you understood all 4 blocks. With exception handling, now we know how to handle errors. Now it's time to explore the world of data files. First of all, we will get acquainted with the text file. To know text file, we should know what is file. File stores data permanently. Text files store the data in the same form as we type. It will generally stored in the form of Unicode characters. Each line in the file will get end with the \n. It is called as end of line character, and the extension of the text file will be .txt. The content of the text file will be in the human readable form. We can open text file in the text editor like Notepad. To work with text file, we should have an idea about the different operations that we can perform on the text file. The first operation is opening the file. For that we will be using open function. Here is the syntax. The first parameter of the open function is file name. We need to mention the name of the file. And the second parameter is mode. Generally, we use 3 modes: read mode, write mode and append mode. Let's discuss the different types of mode which we can use with the open function. First is R mode. This is default mode. If you don't mention any mode, the file will open in the read mode. The second mode is write mode. And the third mode is the append mode. If already there is a data in the file and you need to append some more data, that time you will be using append mode. There are some additional modes too, R+, W+, and A+. In case of R+ mode, the file will get open in the read mode and it will allow write operation too. Whereas in case of W+ mode, the file will get open in the write mode but it allows read operation too. And at last, in case of A+ mode, file gets open in the read mode and it allows write operation also. Generally, we will be using R mode, W mode and A mode. Moving ahead to the second operation, that is closing the file. Here is the syntax: file object dot close. This file object we created with the open function. With this file object, actually we create the link of the file object and the file on the disk that we need to break with the close function. Now the third operation is writing to a file. To write data to the file, there are two functions. First is write. Here is the syntax of the write function. We use file handle, or we can call it as a file object. It takes parameter in the form of string. It writes string to the file. The second function is write lines. Write lines take the list of the string. Let's try to understand how to write the data to the text file using write function. This will be always the first step, where we are using open function to open the file. Here we are opening the file in the read mode because we are creating the file, we are writing data to the file. Write function takes the parameter in the form of string. So we initialize one string variable, and that we are writing with the write function. Finally, we need to close the connection. One text file got created with the name file1, and this name got written into the file. It is not practical to write the string one by one. Then you can use for loop. This for loop will get executed for 5 times. We are taking the input and that we are writing to the file. If we input some random file names, look at the content of the file. But this is not in the proper format. If you want the names in the separate line, for that we need to write the new line also. That we will be doing with \n. Because in case of text file, as we type, it will get stored. If you want some formatting, we need to write that too. Because in case of text file, as we type, data gets stored. Now let's apply writeLines function to write data to the file. WriteLines function takes the data in the form of list. So you can directly write the list here. As you type, it will get stored in the file. If you don't want to write list directly in the function, take it in a variable, and that you can specify in the WriteLines function. Using for loop, you can take list elements one by one. For that, we have created one empty list, and using append function, we will be adding names to that list. To write names in new line, we have concatenated \n to each element of the list. Look at the output. We studied how to open the file, how to close the file, and how to write data to the file. Now we have to read the content of the text file. For that, we have 3 functions. The first is read, the second one is read line, and the third one is read lines. Let's try to understand all these 3 functions in detail. The first is read function. With read function, we can specify how many bytes we need to read. Bytes means it is nothing but a character. How many characters we need to read. If we don't mention, entire file will get read. When we read the data, we will be getting it in the form of string. Here is the syntax. All the file functions we will be using with the file object because it is a representative for the file. Here n is the number of bytes or number of characters. If we don't mention, whole file will get read. That's why it is optional. We are trying to read the file1 with this content. Now I want to read only 3 bytes, means only 3 characters. So I mention fp.read in bracket the number of characters or number of bytes are 3. We get the result in the form of string that we are printing it on the screen. We will not forget to close the file. Look at the output of this code. We could read only 3 characters from the file. Before studying file, we were writing program and directly printing the result on the monitor. But now in between we have file. We will take the input from the keyword stored into the file. Then read the content from the file and display on the monitor. Here is the second variation of the read function, that is without specifying the number of bytes. When we don't specify anything, whole content of the file will get read. We have only one name in this file, so we are getting that details. Now we are clear with the read function. Let's move ahead to the second function, that is read line. It will read the whole line of input. This function also returns the data in the form of string. Here is the syntax file object dot read line. In this code, we are trying to read the file3.txt. We could see we have mentioned the complete path of the file. If file is not in the same directory as the program, then you will be specifying the path like this. Here is the usage of the readLine function. It will give the data in the form of string that we are printing. Look at the output. We are getting one line of output. Here we have used readLine function once. It will read only one line. There is one more point we should note down of readLine function is it will read the string but it will end with the \n. You will get a clear understanding what that means. Here we use one readLine function which reads the first line of the file. Look at the output. Here we are getting one blank line because each line will get end with \n in case of readLine function. And the next line is getting printed because of this readLine function. To avoid this, you can use the end parameter of the print function. With that, we can suppress the printing of blank line. We have no idea how many lines are written in the text file and we need to read the complete file. For that, you can use loop like this. Open the file, then take one empty variable and while str we will be reading the line. After reading the line, we are printing it using end parameter. You know the usage of end parameter now. Finally, we will close the connection. Here is the another method. When we will open the file, we got the content. We are iterating over it and printing it using end parameter. That was all about readLine function. Now the third function is readLines function. It reads the data from the file in the form of list. Here is the syntax file object dot readlines. Look at the simple code. We are opening the file 3 in the read mode. And along with the file object, we are using readLines function. We got the data in the form of list that we are printing. Look at the output now. The first line is the first element of the list followed by \n and the second line is the second element of the list. In the same way, all the data of the file will get read. Now the last important function is appending to the file. What does it mean? Already file exists. Now you want to add some more data to the existing file. For that we use append mode. Already existing file we cannot open in the write mode because the data will get erased. Look at this code. With this code we created names.txt file with some names into it. Now we want to append data to this file. For that we will open the same file in the append mode and using for loop we are adding data to it. The rest of the program will be same. Only the difference is that we will open the file in the append mode. With the revision on the text file, we know how to handle text file. Alright, let's continue our journey of file handling with CSV file. We are well familiar that there are three types of files. Yesterday we revised text file as well as we solved previous year questions. Today we are going to study about CSV files. Remember the full form of CSV, that is comma separated values, because you may get question based on it. CSV files are text file. It stores the data in the tabular format and the default delimiter is comma. Look at the file data. When we will open the CSV file in the notepad, the data is separated by comma. As data in the CSV file is stored in the tabular form, it is also called as record. And each record consists of one or more fields. So these are the records and these are the fields of that record. Why CSV files are popular? Because it is easy to create and it is a preferred format for import and export. Even it can store large amount of data. To work with CSV file, the functions associated with this file are stored in the CSV module. For that we need to import it. Here is the important topic, that operations which we can perform on CSV file. We can open the file, close the file, read data and write data to it. Let's discuss these operations one by one. For opening the file, we are going to use the same open function which we have used in case of text file. Look at the first parameter, it is same, file name. The second parameter is also same and the modes which we are going to use for CSV file are exactly same as text file. Here is the third parameter, that is new line. As we have opened the file, we will be closing it. For that we use close function. It is also same as text file. Now the important operation is to write data to the CSV file. There are two functions which we can use to write data. The first one is write row and the second one is write rows. As the name suggests, write row function writes only one row of data, whereas write rows function writes multiple rows of data. For writing data, we will be creating writer object. What's this writer object? Let's try to understand. We know CSV files are delimited files. The default delimiter is comma. So before writing data to the CSV file, the data must convert into CSV writable delimited form. So that task is performed by the writer object. Look at the diagram, you will understand easily. We took user input from the keyboard. Using either write row or write rows function, we want to write data to the CSV file. But before writing that data to the CSV file, writer object will convert it in the proper format. That converted data we can call as delimited data. Once it is converted to proper format, it will get returned to the file. So here are the steps we need to follow for writing data to the CSV file. First of all, we need to import CSV module. The second step is to use open function. In the third step, we will create writer object. And using write row or write rows functions, we will be writing the data. Finally, we need to close it. Now let's understand how to create writer object. Here is the name of the writer object. It can be anything. It's an identifier. We are going to use one method of the CSV file, that is writer. The first parameter is file handle, which will be created with the open function. The second parameter is delimiter. By default it is comma. We know that it is optional. We will not bother much about it also. Here is one example. Using writer function, we created one writer object. Now let's check out the syntax for write row and write rows function. These functions are part of CSV module, so we will be writing the name of the CSV module. Write row function writes one row that we can provide in the form of list or in the form of tuple. Look at the example. Here is one list that we are writing with write row function. Now let's try to understand the syntax of the write rows function. Write rows function writes multiple rows so that we can provide in the form of nested list. Now look at the complete code with the help of which we will be writing one record to the file. First step is to import the file. Second step is to open the file. The extension of the CSV file will be .csv. The third step is to create the writer object. Using writer function, here is the list that we are gonna write to the file. It's time to use the write row function. Write row function works with the writer object because it will give data to the writer object. Writer object will convert it to the proper format and then data will get returned to the file. The parameter to the write row function is list. Finally, we are closing it. When we open this file in the Excel, we could see this one row got returned to the file. Data is in the tabular form, but there is no heading. If you want to write heading like this, just give that heading to the write row function. Here we provided two elements in the form of list because there are two fields. For giving header also we will be using same write row function along with writer object. CSV file can be opened in Excel or even you can open this file in the notepad. You know it is not practical to write data one by one. For that we can use range function. So here is the code for that. After importing CSV file, we opened the file and created the writer object. Here we are providing headings too. Using for loop, we are taking the input. The first input is roll number, second is name. With that input, we have created one list. That list we are providing as a parameter to the write row function. Range you can set according to your requirement. This loop will get executed for 3 times and 3 records got returned to the CSV file. Alright, we understood the usage of write row function. Now it's time to check out for write rows. Write rows function can write multiple rows. That multiple rows we will be providing in the form of nested list. First 3 steps are same. Importing CSV file, open and create writer object. Look at this list. It is a nested list. This nested list we are providing to the write rows function. 4 records got returned to the file. Here we did not write code for the header, so that will not get returned to the file. In this way we understood how to write data to the CSV file. There are 2 functions, write row and write rows. To write we need to create one writer object too because it will convert the data to the delimited format. It's time to check how to read data from the CSV file. For writing we created writer object. In the same way for reading data we need reader object. Look at the process to read data. First of all, we will be importing CSV file. In the second step, we will open the file in the read mode. In the third step, we need to create reader object. The reader object will convert the data into iterable format. According to the requirement, the data fetched by the reader object will be processed further. Finally, we will close the file. Look at the diagram. Data from CSV file will go to the reader object. Reader object will fetch the data. After that, using loop, we will fetch the data row by row. After fetching the data, we can process it according to our requirement. Alright then, let's try to understand how to create reader object. Here is the syntax. To create reader object, we will be using reader function, which is from the CSV module. The first parameter is file handle. Second parameter is delimiter. Look at the example, csv.reader, and parameter is file handle. Now look at the simple code which will read data from the file. First step is to import CSV file. Second step to open the file in the read mode. We are well familiar with the different modes of the file. To write data, we use write mode. To read data, we use R mode. And to append data to the file, we use append mode. In the next step, we are going to create the reader object. Using for loop, we are printing the row one by one. Finally, we are closing the file. We are trying to read the content of this CSV file. Look at the output. One point we should keep in mind that every line will append with the end of line character, that is \r\n. So this is the first line which is getting ended with \r\n and followed by next record of the file. For different operating system, this character can be different. For Windows, it is \r\n. And the translation of that end of line character will result in empty list. Because of that, after each record we will be getting one empty list. Now what's the solution in case of CSV file? Let's try to understand. Look at this CSV file. We did not solve that problem, that's why after every record there is a blank line. Now we have to resolve this problem. For that we will be using new line parameter of the open function. The rest of the code is as it is, only we are adding new line parameter with blank quotes. What it will do? It will suppress that empty line. What's the conclusion now? Always when you are writing data to the CSV file, don't forget to use this new line parameter of the open function. Because if we solve this problem while writing data itself, we will not face any problem while reading that data. Now you know CSV file is very important. We are going to get the knowledge of binary files. In binary file, data gets stored in the form of bytes. That's why it is not in human readable form. We cannot directly read the content of the file. That's why we need special tools. There is no delimiter as CSV file where comma is the default delimiter. No translation is needed because the data is in the form of bytes. That's why it is faster than the text file. One new concept we will be exploring in case of binary files, that is pickling and unpickling. Let's try to understand what is pickling. Pickling is a process where object will get converted to byte stream. What are objects? These are the different data types like dictionary, list or tuple. Then the reverse process of pickling will be unpickling, where byte stream will get converted to the original object. As dictionary, tuple or list will have some structure, so we need to maintain their structure. For that we will be following the process of pickling and unpickling. For the process of pickling and unpickling, we will be using pickle module. So to work with binary files, we will be importing it. Here are the two important functions we will be using from the pickle module. Dump is used to write data to the binary file and load function is used to read data from the binary file. Now let's look at the important operations that we can perform on the binary file. The operation of opening the file and closing the file will be exactly same as text file and CSV file. One thing, we can note down the modes which we are using for the binary file. It is WB, RB and AB. We need to just add B alphabet to the modes which we have studied in case of text file and CSV file. Out of all these modes, the RB mode is the default mode. So here are the basic three modes RB, WB and AB. And here is the list of additional three modes. Moving ahead to the important operation, that is writing to a file. It is also known as pickling. For writing data to the file, we will be using dump function. Here is the syntax. First parameter is object. Object means it can be any data type, and the second parameter is file handle, which we will create with open function. Let's write one simple program. The first step is to import pickle module. Here are two dictionaries which we are gonna write in the file. The second step is to open the file in the WB mode, as we are writing data to the file. The name of the file is test.dat. In case of binary file, we will be using extension .dat, that is data file. Now it's time to use dump function to write dictionary to the file. Dump function belongs to pickle module, that's why we have specified it, pickle.dump. Here is the first parameter, object, that is dictionary in our case, and the second parameter is the file pointer or file object. We are writing one more dictionary, that's why we have one more dump function. Finally, we will be closing the file. So test.dat file got created. If we will try to open it in a notepad, we will be getting data like this. You know, in case of binary file, it is not in the human readable form. That's why we cannot read data. It is not practically possible to write dictionary one by one. For that, we can use while loop. Pickle module got imported. Here is a empty dictionary. We open the file in the W mode. The name of the file is myfile.dat. Here while loop will get executed till you will press Y. The first input is roll number, the second is name. These two inputs are getting added to the dictionary. Then we are dumping that dictionary to the file. You will be entering the details and writing to the file. You can stop this loop by entering the letter other than Y. Now we know how to write data to the binary file. Before proceeding to the read operation, let's try to understand how to append the data to the file. You know, the write operation and the append operation is exactly same. The difference is of mode. Here is the code with the help of which we created test.dat file. Now we need to append some more data to the same file. We are trying to append this dictionary to the already existing data. That's why we will open the same file in the append mode. AB is the append mode in case of binary file. Then that dictionary we are dumping using dump function. Finally, close the file. So this was all about the append operation. Same process of appending data to the file you can do by using loop. Alright, now let's check out how to read data from the file. It is called as unpickling, where byte streams are gonna convert to the object again. For that we will be using load function of the pickle module. Here is the syntax, pickle.load, and in bracket we are providing file handle, and that data we will be getting in the form of object. Okay, then let's read the same test.dat file in which we have written three dictionaries. Pickle module got imported. The second step is to open the binary file in the read mode. The read mode is RB. Here is the load function, pickle.load, and file is the file handle in this case, so that we are going to mention here. Here the student one is the object, that is nothing but a dictionary. Three dictionaries got loaded. Using print statement we are printing it. Finally, don't forget to close the connection. Look at the output. We got three dictionaries. Here we had an idea that three dictionaries are written to the file. But what if we don't know how much data is stored in the binary file? That time we will be writing infinite while loop to read data from the file. Load function will keep on loading the data. But what if there is no data? That time we will be getting error ran out of input. As there is no input, we will be getting this exception. How to handle it? We have studied in exception handling that we can handle exception with try except block, and there is one more arrangement with statement. So let's explore how we can handle that exception using try except block. In try block we write the code which generates exception. We know this while loop is raising the exception because we are loading continuously data infinitely. And in the except block we need to handle that exception. When the exception will arise, control will come to the except block and we are closing the file. If we close the file, there is no case of loading more data from the file. Now we handle the exception, that's why we are not getting any error. So always keep in mind that when you are dealing with binary file and you want to read data from the binary file, you will be using try except block. There is a second arrangement to handle that exception by using with statement. Look at this statement. With open as FP. We are opening the file in the read mode and FP is the file handle. We are loading the content and printing it. Here you will not get any error because with statement closes the file automatically. So whichever option you feel easy, you can go ahead with it. The next operation which we can perform on binary file is searching in a file. We can search a particular record from the binary file. For that we can follow this process. This is the first step. We are going to open the file in the read mode. As we are performing search operation, we will read the content of the file. In every record, we will look for the desired search key, whether we got or not. If we found, we can process it further. If we don't found, we can move ahead to the next record. In case we checked all the records and we don't find that record, finally we can print that message that record not found. Look at this example. We need to search a record of a student having roll number 101. Here is the same process to open the binary file in the read mode. We are well familiar with this try except block also. In the try block, we will be loading the content of the file infinitely. Using load function, we are loading the dictionary. Now we need to check for the roll number 101. Look at the file content. So here is the key value pair of the dictionary. We need to find out the value of this particular key. For that, this is the if condition. If dictionary 1 of roll number is equals to 101, if we found it, we will print it. And to keep track of the status of the record that we found or not, we are initializing one variable found to false. If we get it, we will change it to true. Here we are loading the content indefinitely, so surely we will get exception. In that case, we will come to the except block. If the value of found variable is true, means we get it. The search is successful. Otherwise, in the else block, we are printing the message that no such record found in the file. Don't forget to close the file. Here is the simple code to search for a specific record in the binary file. Hope you understood this code. This is the fifth operation we can perform on the binary file, that is updating the data. Follow these 3 steps. If you want to update, first you need to locate it. You have to find it. Then make the changes and write back again to the file at the exact location. Means the record got updated. We know how to search it. We know how to make the changes, but how to find the exact location of the old record. For that there are 2 functions. The first is tell and the second one is seek. These 2 functions even work on text and binary files. Let's talk about tell function. It returns the current position of the file pointer in the file. Follow this syntax fileObject.tell. Let's check out one simple code to implement this tell function. This code is about opening the file in the read mode. Now I want to check the position of the file pointer. For that we are using filePointer.tell function. Look at the output. The current position of file pointer is equals to 0. When we open the file in the read mode, the file pointer will be at the beginning of the file. That's why we are getting this answer 0. After that we are using load function, with the help of which we are loading data. In the next line we are printing the loaded data. We got one dictionary. This is the file data. After loading, again we want to know what is the position of the file pointer. Look at the output. File pointer's position after loading data equals to 41. From that it is clear that file pointer changed its position. There is one more function related to the position of the file pointer, that is seek. Seek function changes the position of the file pointer by placing the file pointer at the specified position. With the seek function, we can change the position of the file pointer. Here is the syntax. The first parameter is offset. Offset is nothing but a number which specifies the number of bytes, and the second is mode. This mode is not file modes. Here are the three options which we can use as a mode. 0 signifies beginning of the file, which is the default value. If you don't mention, it will consider 0. 1 indicates the current position of the file pointer and 2 is for end of the file. Let's try to understand the working of seek function with some examples. In the first example, we mentioned 20. 20 is the number of bytes. Default mode is 0. So it is same as this. Means we need to place the file pointer at the 20th byte from the beginning of the file. Look at the second example. We are placing the file pointer at 20th bytes ahead of current file pointer position. 1 refers to the current file pointer position. Using negative bytes, we can place the file pointer behind of current file pointer position. In this last example also we are placing the file pointer behind, but now from end of file, as 2 indicates end of file. Now we know how to find out the exact location of the old record to update the record. Then let's try to understand how to update the record. With this program we are trying to update the name of the student having roll number 101. Here is the original file. The name of the roll number 101 is Yash. That we need to update. Look at the code. The first step is same to import pickle module. The second step is also same. We are taking one empty dictionary. Note down the third step. We are using here mode RB+. To read the file we were using RB mode. It only allows read operation. But now we need to update the content we will be reading as well as we need to write record. That's why we are using RB+ mode. In this mode the file will get opened in the read mode, but at the same time it will allow write operation too. Same try except block we are gonna use. Using infinite while loop we are loading the content of the file. Using tail function we are checking the position of the file pointer. Using load function we are loading the file content in the dictionary. It's time to check the particular record. If dictionary of roll number is equals to 1, if we find the record with the roll number 101, the next task is to change the name. Before it was Yash, now we are initializing Ram. After changes we need to place the file pointer at the required position, at the old position, and using dump function we are writing the record at the same place. We could find the record, so we will be updating the found variable. When we will reach at the end of the file, the control will come to the exception. If we find the record, we can print the message, otherwise we will print that no such record found in the file. So that was all about updating the specific record. With binary file, we completely discover the world of file handling. It's time to move ahead and check out data structure stack using list. First of all, let's try to understand what is stack. Stack is a data structure. Data structure is nothing but a particular way of organizing and storing data. Then let's try to understand how data gets stored in stack. Look at the example. Here is a stack of book. We have kept book one above another. If you want to keep any book, you have the restriction of keeping it only on the top. Even if you want to take out any book from this stack, then also you need to take out from the top. It means that insertion and deletion takes place only from one end. It is generally called as top of the stack. And you might have played this game of rings in your childhood. You know that in this game too, if you want to keep any ring, you will be keeping from the top position. That's why stack is also called as LIFO, that is last in, first out. The item which will be inserted last, that will be the first one to come out. Now you understood what is stack. If you want to add any item, that you will be doing from the top position. Even if you want to remove it, that also you will be doing from the top position. Now let's discuss some of the terminologies that we will be using in case of stack data structure. When we insert any element, that is called as push. And removing any element or deleting any element from the stack, it is called as pop. There is one more term, that is peek. Peek means checking out which is the element at the top position. Look at this word overflow. What is overflow? Overflow occurs when stack is already full and you are trying to insert some item into it. And the reverse of that is underflow. Underflow means your stack is empty, but you are trying to remove some elements, delete some elements from that empty stack. In this way, we understood the data structure stack with the restriction of insertion and deletion from the stack, which will happen from the top element. Now, let's try to understand how we implement stack in Python. For that, we use list. You are already familiar with the list, but now we are implementing stack using list. That's why now if you want to push any element to this list, that will be in the last position. And if you want to pop any element, that too you will be doing from the last position. How we add element to the list? Using append function. And how can we delete the last element from the list? Using pop function. Alright, now you understood. To insert item or to push item, we will be using append function, and to remove item, we will be using pop function, because pop by default removes the last element from the list. Now let's try to understand with one simple example how to push an element into the stack that we are implementing using a list. Alright then, consider one simple list. The name of the list is STK. There are total 5 elements. Now I want to perform push operation. For push operation, we will be using append function. You know, append function adds the element at the last. So when we will print that stack, you will be getting this output. Look at the output, 60 got added at the last. That is nothing but a push operation. So for push operation, we will be using append function of the list. Now let's try to understand how you can pop an element from the list. Here is the same list. Now we need to perform pop operation on the stack. And look at the function, the name of the function is also pop. If we don't provide any parameter, pop function removes the last element of the list. And that is only the restriction of the stack. If you want to delete any item, we can do from the last position. And when we print the stack from the output, it is clear that 50 got removed, it got popped. With stack, the entire unit number 1 got completed. But before starting unit 2, we will be going through unit 3, that is relational databases. Database we use to store interrelated data. Interrelated data means which is related to each other. We understood what is database. Then what is database management system? It is nothing but a software which provides us the facilities of storing and maintaining data. Here are some of the examples of that software. We are using MySQL. You may get encounter with one more term, that is RDBMS, Relational Database Management System. Then what is it? We already know database management system is nothing but a software. RDBMS is a software in which the data is stored in the form of relation, and relation is nothing but a table. It means in case of RDBMS, the data stored in the form of table. Now let's go through some of the terminologies associated with database. Look at the table. You know the horizontal are the rows and vertical are the columns. There is another word for the row, that is record, and the another word for the column is field. So when we talk about database, we call row as record and column as field. Now what about this tuple and attribute? There is one more term for the row, that is tuple, and for column we use attribute. Here comes one more term, that is degree and cardinality. Relate this cardinality word to row. So cardinality is nothing but a number of rows. Look at the table. This is first row, this is second, and this is the third row. That's why cardinality is equals to 3. If we can keep the cardinality means number of rows, then there is no issue to keep in mind that degree means number of columns. In this table, the columns are also 3. So degree is 3. Now let's revise these terms in short. Tuple means row, attribute means column. Oh, there is one more term we skipped. Look at the table again. The term is domain. Domain means the set of possible values which we can enter in a particular column. Look at this column. It is a item number. So we can enter integer values here. For item number, the domain is set of integer value. And if you talk about item name, here we will be entering some string values. So domain for item name will be string values. We cannot enter here integer value. That's why the definition of the domain is a set of values that can be entered in an attribute. Finally, here are two important terms. Cardinality is number of tuples. Tuples are nothing but rows. Now we know degree means number of attributes. Attributes means columns. You may get question in the exam of this form. Table will be given and you need to tell the degree and cardinality. Now there is no doubt you can answer this question easily. We connected word row to the cardinality. Number of rows are 2, then number of columns means degree, that is 3. Moving ahead, there is one more important topic we are gonna discuss, that is keys. There are different types of keys we will be studying. The first one is primary key. Primary key is nothing but a column of a table which uniquely identify row in a table. Look at this table. Here we can assign roll number as primary key because it will be unique. If we assign any column as primary key, it doesn't allow duplicates value, even it will not take null values too. The second important key is candidate key. Candidate key is also a column of the table which can be a primary key. In this table, roll number and admission number can be a primary key. That's why both are candidate keys. Now what about this alternate key? We understood what is candidate key. Here roll number and admission number can be a candidate key because it can act as a primary key. But out of these two columns, only one can be a primary key. If roll number will become the primary key, then admission number will called as a alternate key. So look at the definition now. The candidate key which is not a primary key. The last important key is foreign key. Foreign key is used to combine two or more tables. Look at the first table. The primary key of the first table is roll number. If we consider this roll number in another table, that will be the foreign key of this table then. Now let's read the definition. A column in one table will refer to the primary key of another table is called as foreign key. So for this student academics table, roll number is the foreign key because it refers the primary key of another table. Hope you understood the concept of keys. Now let's try to understand the types of statements. All the MySQL commands are categorized into these types. These two statements are important. The first one is DDL. DDL means data definition language, and the second one is DML. DML means data manipulation language. Keep the full form in mind. You may get question on this. Then let's study which are the DDL commands. We are going to discuss 3 DDL commands: create, alter, drop. Now you need to remember the name of the DDL commands too, because you may get question for 1 mark in which you need to tell the name of the DDL commands. So let's relate DDL command to the word CAD: create, alter, drop. And the commands which will be under DDL are update, insert, delete. Now let's create one word for this also. It is UID. So DML commands are UID: update, insert, delete. Moving ahead to the next important topic related to database is constraint. Constraint is nothing but a rule which we are going to apply on the table. With that we can make sure the type of data we are entering into the table. Here are the 5 constraints: unique, primary key, default, check and foreign key. Let's try to understand these constraints in short. The first one is unique constraint. If we apply unique constraint on any column, then you cannot enter duplicate value. Look at this record. These are duplicates. Then you will get error. The second constraint is primary key constraint. We understood the meaning of primary key. If we apply primary key constraint on any column, then that column will not accept duplicate values, even null values. Is there any doubt between primary key constraint and unique constraint? Let's look at the difference. Primary key constraint doesn't allow null values, whereas unique key constraint allows null values. In a table, there will be only one primary key constraint, but there can be multiple unique constraints. Third constraint is default constraint. With that, we can assign some default value for that column. If we don't provide any value, the default values will get considered. Moving ahead to the fourth constraint, that is check constraint. If you want to apply some condition on the data which are going to store in the column, that time we can use check constraint. Look at the column age. We need the employee with the age greater than 25. With the check constraint, only the values which are greater than equals to 25 will get entered. Finally, we have foreign key constraint. We know the concept of foreign key. Here employee ID is a foreign key because it refers to the primary key of another table. Now how to apply all these constraints on the table? When we use create table command, that time we will be writing it. Let's move ahead and get acquainted with some of the basic MySQL commands. Try all these commands in MySQL software. The first command is show database. It is used to display the available databases. Here is the command show databases. You know that SQL commands are not case sensitive. You can write in capital or lowercase. The second command is create database, with the help of which we can create new database. Why we create database? Because we can store all the related tables into that database. So here database is nothing but a collection of tables. So before start working in MySQL, you need to create database. In that database, then you can create tables. Look at the command create database, and then we have to provide the name of the database. Here is one example, create database student. Moving ahead to the third command, use database. To access a particular record, we will be using use database command. We created student database. Now we want to access it. To access it, we will be using use command. Using this command, you are into this database. If you no longer need any database, you can delete it using drop command. Drop databases, and then we need to provide the database name. Here is the example. We created student database. Now with drop database, we are going to remove it. But wait, don't delete database. We need to create table into it. Before creating the table, we should have understanding of the MySQL data type. For string, we will be using these two data types, that is char and varchar. In bracket, you need to mention the size of the string. Size means the maximum length which we can enter into that particular column. Then for numeric value, we have two data types. One is integer. Integer means it will take number without decimal point, and with decimal point if you want to enter, then we will be using decimal data type. Here is the data type for entering date, and time is used for entering time. We could see there are two data types for entering string. What's the difference between them? Char data type is a fixed length and the possible range is this, whereas varchar is a variable length data type, and here is the range for this varchar data type. What is fixed length and variable we will understand with example. Look at the example. There are two fields with the same name. Just for understanding, we have given the same name for both the fields. The size is same, that is 15. In both columns, we have stored the same string. Now we want to know the number of bytes occupied by both the string. So in case of character 15, it will take 15 bytes of storage, as we have given here size 15, though it is storing a shorter string. Whereas in case of varchar 15, it will take as many bytes as the length of the string. So the number of bytes here will be 9. That is the difference between char and varchar data type. Now we know different data types. Let's create the table. For creating the table, we use create table command. Here is the syntax. Create table followed by the table name. In brackets, we need to provide the column details. This is the first column name followed by data type. If we are taking char and varchar, you need to specify the size also. In case there are any constraints, we will be mentioning it here. Let's create one simple table. Create table students personal detail. In bracket, here is the detail of the columns. The first column is roll number. The data type is integer. We are applying primary key constraint. The second column is name. The data type is varchar and the size is 15. The third column is date of birth and the data type is date. I would suggest you to execute these commands in MySQL so that you will be familiar with the syntax of the commands. You know, while creating table you can apply constraint. Here we applied check constraint. And in the second example we are trying default constraint. In this way we created database, and in that database we even created one table. After creating the table, if you want to know the structure of the table, you can use DESC command. It displays the structure of the table. Here is the syntax DESC followed by table name. Look at the output. You will get details of the columns. Using show databases, we got to know the list of the databases. In the same way, we have one more command, that is show tables. With that you will be getting list of the tables. You need to write show tables. Let's move ahead to the next command, that is drop table. There is a drop database command. In the same way we have drop table command also. Drop table and table name. Look at this example. Drop table, the name of the table is S1. Alright then, let's talk about the remaining MySQL commands. From DDL we understood create and drop command. With the help of drop command we can drop database as well as table. From this category only one command is left, that is alter command. Let's go through it. Alter command can be used in a different way. The first usage is to add a column. The second usage is to modify a column data type. Even we can use alter command to change the column name. And finally, we can drop a column name or any constant that we applied on the table. Here is the first usage of the alter table command by using add clause. It is used to add column to the existing table. Look at the syntax. Alter table, then we are specifying the table name. Here is the add clause. Name of the new column that we are going to add followed by the data type. If there is any constant that you have to mention. Here is the previous existed table that we have created. Now we want to add one field to it named mobile number. Alter table student name, add mobile number, and the data type is integer. Look at the output of the command. One field got added. As we did not provide any data to the column, null will get stored. Then we can use update command to update the data for every record. Alter table command can be used with the modify clause. What's the use? It is used to modify the column of the existing table. With the use of modify clause, we are changing the data type of the mobile number field. We can follow this syntax. Alter table table name. Here is the modify clause. Provide the column name for which we have to change the data type. We will be mentioning here new data type. If it is char and varchar, we need to mention the size also. Let's proceed to the third use. Alter table command with change clause. With this we can change the column name. Look at the syntax. Alter table table name. Here is the clause change. Old column name followed by new column name. Considering the same table, we are changing the field name from mob number to mobile number. Now we are using drop clause with alter table command. With the drop clause, we can remove a component of the table. Look at the syntax. Alter table table name, drop column name, or we can mention the constant. This is the new added field that we are going to remove from the table. And in the second example, we are trying to drop the constant primary key. Got it now how versatile this alter table command is. Lot of modifications we can do on the existed table. By completing alter table command, we covered whole DDL section. It's time to move ahead to the DML section. In DML section, we will study update command, insert command and delete command. Let's get started with insert into command. Insert into command is used to add a row to the table. Here is the syntax. Insert into table name. After that, we will be providing the field names. Followed by field names, there is a keyword values, and the list of the values we will be providing in brackets. Look at this example. We are trying to insert one record in the student personal table. Here are the values for all the columns. If we will provide values for all the columns, no need to mention here column list. But there is a variation for the insert command. If you need to insert values for the specific columns, in that case you need to provide the list of the fields too. With this MySQL command, out of these 3 columns, we are providing values only for 2 columns. In that case, we need to mention the column names for which you are providing the values. Look at this record. There is a value for roll number and name. As we didn't provide value for date of birth, null got inserted. Here is the second DML command, that is update. Update command is used to modify the existing record in the table. If you want to edit some record, that you can do with the update command. Look at the syntax. Update table name. Then we will be writing clause set. With set clause, we need to mention the values which we need to update. Where condition is optional. If you have, you can write it, otherwise you can skip it. Let's have a look at one example. In this existed table, we are trying to update the date of birth for the roll number 103 as null got inserted from the previous command. In this way, we will be writing the update command. Update table name. Set, we are changing the date of birth field, so we need to mention date of birth. Here is the date. This is the default date format. YYYY-MM then DD. With where clause, we are providing the condition. Look at the record now. Date of birth got updated. With update command, we can update multiple columns also. In that case, you need to mention the list of the columns along with values separated by comma. In this example, we are trying to update the name as well as city for the employee ID 101. So after execution of this command, name and city will get updated. Now let's look at one example, that is without where clause. Update employee set city equals to Nagpur. In this case, all the records will get updated and the value will get set as the mentioned one. Here is the third DML command, that is delete. Delete command is used to delete the row from the table. Follow this syntax. Delete from table name. Again, this is optional, but if you skip it, all the records will get deleted. So be careful before applying this command on the table. You might have seen some memes related to delete command without where clause. Here is the save delete command, that is with where clause. Delete from table name student personal where roll number equals to 3. It will delete only one record with the roll number 3. Alright, then we know select command is used to retrieve data. Here is the syntax. The keyword select followed by the list of the columns which we need to display. Then we will be writing from table name. If you have condition, you will be mentioning here. It's an optional part. With the use of where clause, we will be displaying the records based on condition. Look at the simple example. Select EMP ID from employee. And here is the list of EMP ID. We mention here only single column name that is getting displayed. If you have more than one column to display, you can separate it by comma. So the specified 2 columns are getting displayed. First one and this is the second one. If you want to display all the columns of the table, then we will be using star. It is also called as all operator. Look at the command. Select star from employee. All the columns are getting displayed. Let's check out one more important keyword, that is distinct. It eliminates duplicate rows. Look at the city column from the employee table. There are duplicate values for Bangalore and Pune. And if you don't want to print duplicate value, you can apply distinct keyword before column name. Now look at the output. Bangalore is getting displayed once, even Pune. Now we will be experimenting with the where clause which we are going to use with select command. We know the syntax, the place where we will be writing the where clause. With where clause, we can determine the criteria to display the records. Let's check out how to use relational operators with the where clause. These 4 operators are same as all the programming languages. We need to only remember this is equals to and not equal to operator. Let's use equal to operator in the first example. Select star from employee means all the records we need to display. Now what's the criteria to display? Where city should be Bangalore. From the output, it is clear that the records are getting displayed whose city is Bangalore. In the same way, you can use other relational operators. Now let's talk about the logical operators. There are 3 logical operators and, or, and the third one is not. I know you are well familiar with the working of these logical operators. It is just like Python programming language. Look at this example. We need to display the records of employee whose city should be Bangalore or Nagpur. It means there are two conditions. How to write query? Select star from employee where city equals to Bangalore or city equals to Nagpur. Concentrate on the field city. You can see records with Bangalore and Nagpur. In case of OR operator, if any one condition is true, then the output will be true. Sometimes the OR operator will be written like this, but meaning is same. Let's talk about one more example. There are two conditions, both should be true. That's why in this scenario, we will be using AND operator. If both the inputs are true, then only the output will be true. Look at the query. Select star from employee where city equals to Pune and salary should be greater than 21,000. From the given records of the table, only one record is satisfying this criteria and it is getting displayed. We understood the usage of relational operators as well as logical operator with select. Now we will be checking out how to use between operator with select command. Between operator is used to select the values from the given range. So we will be opting for the values from the given range. Look at the syntax. Select column names from table name. Till here it is same. It's time to write where clause. Where column name between value 1 and value 2. Here we are creating range. You will understand with this simple example. Select star from employee where employee ID between 101 and 104. Both the limits are inclusive. Look at the records. Employee ID is getting started with 101 and displaying till 104. There is a not between operator too. It is just a reverse of between operator. If you don't want to display records within that range, then you can use not between operator. It's time to check out the usage of one more category of operators, that is in and not in along with select statement. If there is a given list of values and you need to match any value from the given list, we will be using in operator. Here is the syntax. Look at the where clause, where column name in and in brackets we are providing the list of the values. Let's try to write one query based on it. Select star from employee where city in Pune and Nagpur. In bracket there are two values. So city can be Pune or Bangalore. If we look at the records, all those records are getting displayed where city is Pune or Bangalore. The reverse of in is not in. If you don't want to match from the given list of the values, we will be using not in. The same example we are trying with not in. Now look at the records. We are not getting these cities record. One more important concept we are going to study, that is pattern matching with select command. If we have specific pattern to be matched, that we can do with the pattern matching using some operators. For pattern matching we are using like operator. With like operator we will be using two characters. First is %. It matches one or more character, and the second is underscore. It matches single character. Look at the first example. JA% means the first two characters will be JA. After that it can be any number of characters. If we have string like this, it will get matched. Even this also is getting matched, as the first two characters are JA and the remaining can be anything. These characters we can add as many times as we want. Look at the second example. Here we have added the % symbol 2 times, in the beginning and at the end. It means in the beginning of the string you can have any number of characters, but at the center these two characters should be there, followed by again any number of character. Look at this matching string. Now let's see some of the examples for underscore. Underscore is used for matching single character, right? So the 3 underscore means we need string with 3 characters. You can get this type of strings. Look at the second example for underscore. The first character should be T, at the center you can have anything, and at last you have A. So the string like this will get matched with this pattern. Hope you understood pattern matching. It's easy. In this way, we studied lot of operators which we can use with select command, like relational operators, logical operators, between, not between operators, in, not in operators, and even pattern matching with like operator. Now we will be discussing how to perform simple calculations with select command. If you want to perform some calculation, that can be done along with the field name. For that we will be using arithmetic operator. Look at this example. We are providing bonus to the employees, which is 20% of salary. 20% means 20 divided by 100. So it will be 0.20. Look at the column header. It will display as it is specified here. If you want to rename and give it a meaningful name, you can do with as keyword. Now this makes sense. Proceeding to one more important option that we will be dealing with select command, that is handling null. If you have some null values in a column and that you want to list, that you can do with is null with the where clause. Look at this query. Select star from employee where city is null. From the output it is clear that all those records are getting displayed where city is null. The reverse of is null is not null. If you don't want to display those records where you have null values in the field, so the query will look like this. Select star from employee where city is not null. Let's check out the output. City with null is not getting displayed. In case you want to sort the records, for that we will be using order by clause. We can arrange the record in the ascending order, means smaller to bigger value, or in the descending order from bigger to lower value. For that we will be using order by clause. By default the sorting will be in the ascending order. If you want to sort in the descending order, we will be using DESC clause. Look at the syntax. Select column name from table where condition. Till here the query is same. Followed by that we will be writing order by clause, and on which column you need to do ordering, that we will be mentioning here. Let's discuss one simple example. Here is the query. Select star from EMP order by employee name. Look at the employee name column. The records with A alphabet got printed first. In the same way the alphabetical order is getting followed. Now let's display the record in the descending order, that too based on EMP ID. Alright, then the query looks like this. Select star from employee order by EMP ID. Add this DESC clause for the descending order. Look at the employee ID column. 101 is getting displayed first, then 107. In the same way other records are getting displayed in the descending order. Here are some of the aggregate functions that we are going to study: average, count, max, mean and sum. The first is average. It is used to calculate the average of the given data. Here is the syntax AVG, then in bracket we will mention the column name on which we need to apply it. Look at the query. Select average salary from EMP. Look at the output. We are getting the average of all the salaries. While calculating average, if you don't want to include duplicates, then you can use this keyword distinct along with the column name. You can notice that the answer is something different now. Here is one of the important aggregate function, count. It is used to count the number of rows. We can use count function in this three form: count star, then we can mention expression. Along with expression you can use distinct keyword too. Let's try to understand the first form, that is count star. It returns number of rows. When it returns number of rows, it contains not null, null and duplicate values. It means count star includes everything. Look at the syntax. Select count star from table name. Here is one example. Select count star from employee. Look at the output. Total number of rows are 9. There were 2 null entries, that too it get counted. Here is the second form of the count function. With this also we will be counting the number of rows, but the null will not get considered. Look at the syntax. We will be mentioning here column name. With the example we will try to understand. Select count city. We are applying count function on city column. We are giving one column header too from employee. Now look at the output. The number of rows are 7. as there were 2 null entries, so it got skipped. Now what's the third form? We will be adding distinct keyword along with column name. With this also the number of rows will get counted, but here we are removing duplicates, even null values. Here is the syntax. It is almost similar. We are just adding distinct keyword. Look at the query. Select count distinct city from employee. Now the total number of rows are 5. With this we are removing duplicates as well as null values. That's why there are total only 5 rows. Hope you understood the difference between these 3 variations of count function. With count star function, we are including null values, even not null values, and it will consider duplicates too. With the second variation, we are removing null values. But with the third form, the rows with the null values are getting removed, even duplicates. So based on your requirement, you can use any variation. Moving ahead to the third function, max, it is used to calculate the maximum value from the given column. Look at the syntax, max, then column name. Here is the query. Select max of salary from employee. If we consider this table, we are getting the output 45,000. Look at the salary column. 45,000 is the maximum among all. Fourth function is min. From the name itself we know it will calculate the minimum value. Syntax is similar. Look at one query. Select minimum of salary from employee. We are getting 20,000. As we can see, 20,000 is the minimum of all. Moving ahead to the last function, that is sum. It is used to calculate sum of values. Note down the syntax. Here is one simple query. Select sum of salary from employee. The sum of this column is getting calculated, so we are getting this output. Alright then, now we are going to discuss one of the important clause, group by. What is the use of group by clause? It is used for grouping of the particular field based on the same type of data. You can make groups like based on city or based on marks, based on salary. That's why the value should be identical. You cannot make groups based on roll number because it is not same for all. It will be different. Look at the syntax. We will be writing group by clause after writing from table name followed by column name. Generally, grouping is done with aggregate function. Let's try to understand with one example. Here is our EMP table. Now let's create a group based on city. Look at the query. Select city. We need to do the grouping based on city, so we will display that field. From table name, group by the name of the column. With grouping, we cannot display the individual records. In that case, we will be using some aggregate functions. Here we are using aggregate function count. Look at the output. Grouping is done based on city. In Bangalore, there are 2 employees, even in Pune. Similarly, the rest of the count is getting displayed. Look at the second example. In this example, we are doing grouping based on salary. Select salary from EMP, group by salary, and the same aggregate function we are using in this example too. With this we will get the count based on salary. Look at the output. Only one employee is having salary 25,000, whereas there are 2 employees with the salary 22,000. Look at the data here. Let's apply other aggregate function along with group by. Look at the third example. In this example, we are doing grouping based on city and calculating the sum of salaries. From the output, it is clear that in Bangalore, the sum of salary of the employees is 55,000. Accordingly, for other cities also, the sum of salaries is getting displayed. In the fourth example, we are applying max function. Grouping is same based on city. So, all the names of the cities are getting displayed, and the maximum of salary among all the salaries from Bangalore city is 30,000. So always remember, when we use group by clause, you need to use aggregate function along with that. In this topic, we are going to understand how to apply condition while grouping. That we are doing with having clause. We studied when we write select query, we can apply condition with the where clause. In the same way, with the group by clause, we can use having clause to apply condition. It means we need to do grouping but not for all the records. We need to apply certain conditions while grouping. Look at the syntax. After group by clause, we will be writing condition with having keyword. Let's consider this query. We are grouping based on salary, but the grouping will be done based on this condition. What's the condition? The salary should be greater than or equal to 25,000. Now look at the output of this query. The first salary is 25,000. All the displayed salaries are greater than or equal to 25,000. So based on condition, we did grouping. With that example, we saw how to write Boolean expression along with having clause. Now let's consider one example where we are writing aggregate function with the having clause. Look at the query carefully. We are doing grouping based on city. So we need to display that field. And there are two aggregate function. The first is count star and the second one is average of salary. Now look at the condition. We are using here aggregate function. Count star greater than 1. Did you understand this query? The grouping is done based on city. But the condition is count star should be greater than 1. So look at the output. It is 2. It means the number of records in a city Bangalore are 2. For them we are calculating the average of salary. Hope you understood group by clause. Try it with some more examples. Now we are proceeding to one of the important topic, that is joins. What is the use of join? It is used to retrieve data from two or more tables. Here are the different types of joins. The first is inner join, second is outer join and the third is cross join. There are two different types of outer joins, left outer join and right outer join. You may find these types of joins also, equi join, non-equi join and natural join. We are going to discuss all these types of joins in detail. The first is cross join. It will return all the records from both the tables. Look at the query. Select column names from table 1, cross join table 2. There are two tables and we are getting all the records from both the tables. Cross join actually produces a Cartesian product of the two tables. What is Cartesian product? Let's try to understand with one example. To make it simple, we have considered only one column with 3 records. And in table A also there is only one column with 2 records. Look at the cross join query. Select star from A, cross join B. Did you understand the output of this query? With cross join, we will be doing Cartesian product. Means first record of the first table will get matched with the first record of the second table. In the same way, first record of the first table will get matched with the second record of the second table. The same process will get followed for the other records. That's why there are 2 entries for each record of the table A, because it is getting matched to each and every record of the table B, and there are 2 records in the table B. Now let's apply cross join on actual tables. There are 2 tables. The first table is student personal and here is the second table. When we will apply cross join on both the tables, we will get all the records, that too in the form of Cartesian product. Here is the data of the first table and here is the data of the second table. Now look at the output. The record with the roll number 101 will get joined with all the records of the second table. And there are total 3 records. So it will be 3 multiplied by 4. Total 12 rows you will be getting. That's why it is known as Cartesian product. If you count it, there will be 12 records. So here is the query for that. Select star from student personal, cross join student academics. First table name and the second table name. In this query, we have written star. That's why all the fields of both the tables are getting displayed. But if you don't want all the fields, mention the column names. Now it's time to check the second type of join, that is inner join. In case of cross join, we got all the records in the form of Cartesian product. In case of inner join, we get only matching record. Look at the diagram. We will get only common records. Select column names from table 1, inner join table 2. On table 1 column name equals to table 2 column name. Let's try to understand that query with one example. Here is the diagram. We are considering the same tables. When we will apply inner join, we will be getting only matching rows. Whenever we want to combine or join 2 tables, there should be one common column. In these tables, roll number is a common column. Based on that column, we will be matching the records. Now there is one more thing to note down. As RNO field is present in both the tables. If we simply say RNO, there will be doubt which table we are considering. Then to make it clear, we always need to write the name of the table. and then dot RNO. It means we are referring RNO from the first table. Let's look at the query for inner join. Select star from student personal, inner join students academic. This is the first table name. This is the second table name. We will be using on clause. With on clause, we will try to match the common column from both the table. Student personal dot RNO equals to student academic dot RNO. Now look at the output. In these two tables, only there are two matching records with the roll number 101 and with the roll number 102. Hope it is clear to you now what is inner join. To mention the common column from both the table, we always need to write table name along with that. But it will get complicated sometimes if the table name is lengthy. In that case, we can give table alias to it to make it easy. Look at the query now. Select p.rno. What is this p? We have renamed student personal as p. So in the from clause we are mentioning the table name 1. There itself we have given the alias. And here with the inner join clause we specified the second table name. So there you can give alias to it, that is a. Now look at this statement. It looks easy. p.rno equals to a.rno. It's just like a nickname for the table to make it easy to write these statements. Here comes the third join, that is outer join. There are two types of outer join that we will study now. The first is left outer join. Look at the diagram. This is the left table which is at the left hand side, and then here it is a right table. In case of left join, all the records from the left table will get displayed and only the matching records from the right table will get displayed. If all the records are getting displayed from the left table and only matching from the right table, then what about the remaining data? In that case, you will be getting null. The syntax is similar as inner join. The difference is here we will be mentioning left join. It will be clear from this example. This is left table, then here is the right table. When we apply left join, we will be getting all the records from the left table and only the matching records from the right table. Look at the query. Query is written in the same way. If you want, you can give table alias to make it simple. As the definition, all the records of the left tables are getting displayed. 101, 102 and 103. In case of right table, we have only two matching records, 101 and 102. Okay, that two records we got. Now what about 103? It is not matching with the right table. In that case, you can see here all the values are null. Hope it is clear to you now. The second type of outer join is right join. This is just the opposite of left join. Look at the diagram. All the records from the right table will get displayed and only the matching records from the left table. Here is the syntax. The difference is only that we will be writing here right join. Considering the same example, try to understand the output. Look at the right table first. All the records from the right table will get displayed. That's why there are 4 records and only matching records from the left table are 2, 101 and 102. So all the entries of 101 and 102 are getting displayed. Then what about the remaining 2 records which are not matching with the left table? For that we are getting null. Now we can summarize it easily. In cross join we get Cartesian product of the records. In case of inner join we get only matching records. What about these two outer joins? In case of left join, all the records from the left table will get displayed and only matching records from the right table. Whereas in case of right join, all the records from the right table will get displayed and only the matching records from the left table. There are 3 more types of joins. Let's go through it. Let's talk about Equi join. It is a type of inner join. What is inner join? It gives only matching records. Look at the query. Select columns from table 1, table 2. Here we will be mentioning the name of the tables. With the where clause we are trying to match the common column from both the tables. Look at the query. Select star from student personal, student academics. With where clause we are writing the condition. Here we are using is equals to operator. With this statement we are matching the common column RNO of both the table. Look at the output. We are getting only common records from both the tables. That's why it is just like inner join. The way of writing the query is different. In equi join we are using where clause, but in case of inner join we write inner join keyword with on clause. Then what is non-equi join? In case of equi join we use comparison operator is equals to. Whereas in case of non-equi join we will be using these comparison operators. Greater than, less than, greater than equal to or less than equal to. The query is same. Look at this query. Select star from both the table name. We have specified where student personal RNO is greater than student academics RNO. Here we use the comparison operator greater than. Accordingly we are getting the output. So before proceeding to the natural join, in case of equi join we use where clause and we write the condition with is equals to operator. Whereas in case of non-equi join with where clause we are using other comparison operators. Now we are at the last type of join, that is natural join. What is the natural join? Natural means naturally. Implicitly it will join both the tables based on the common column. That's why it is also just like inner join, or we can say equi join and non-equi join, because it gives only matching records. Why it is implicit? Because we are not mentioning any column for joining the tables. Look at the syntax. Select star from table 1, natural join table 2. Let's apply natural join on these two tables. Select star from student personal, natural join student academics. Look at the output. We are getting only matching records. Natural join will automatically match the common column and it will display the matching records. It's time to summarize. Natural joins also display the matching records, but no need to specify the common column. Take the screenshot of this page or fix it in your mind. Now we know one programming language Python and one DBMS, that is MySQL. Now let's connect together both of them. So here is the topic which we are gonna discuss. Interface Python with MySQL. Through Python program we will work with MySQL. For that we need connector mysql.connector that we can install with pip install command. Here are the steps for the connectivity. We will be discussing it one by one. All the functions related to connectivity are in mysql.connector module that we need to import using import command. Look at the name, it's little lengthy. Then to make it simple and small, we can give alias to it. Here is the important step in which we are establishing connection to MySQL through Python. For that we will use connect function. Look at the syntax. With this we will be creating one connection object. Connect function is from the mysql.connector module, so that we need to mention. There are total 4 parameters. First is host. In our case host will be localhost. The second parameter is user. For that we will be writing root. Look at the third parameter, that is password. You will be writing here password which you have entered while installing MySQL software. The fourth parameter is database. Here we will be providing the name of the database on which you need to work. If you are not working on a particular database, you can skip this parameter. Look at the example. This is the alias which we have given to this module. These two parameters are fixed. The password and the name of the database will get changed. Moving ahead to the next step in which we are going to create the cursor. The use of cursor is to process records row by row. To create cursor, we will be using cursor function. Look at the syntax. In the previous step, we created connection object that we need to mention dot cursor. Look at the example. This is the cursor object which is going to create with this command. MyDB is the name of the connection dot cursor. Moving ahead to the next step, we need to execute the SQL query. Now the connection between Python and MySQL got created. It's time to write the query and execute it. For that we will be using execute function. Note that execute function will work with the cursor object which we have created in the previous step. and the parameter for this function will be a complete query. Look at the example. This is cursor object. With execute function, we are executing a complete query. Select star from EMP. With the select command, you know you will be getting all the records. You can call it as a result set. Now you need to extract data from the result set. For that we have three different functions: fetch all, fetch one and fetch many. In the first function you are fetching all the records. With this function we will be fetching all the records in the tuple form. Look at the second function, that is fetch one. It will fetch only one record, that too as a tuple. If there are no records, it returns none. What about this third fetch many function? Look at the parameter. N is the number of records that we have to fetch from the result set. You will be getting it in a list of tuples. If there are no records, it will return an empty list. All these functions will work on the cursor object. Even there is one property associated with the cursor object, that is row count. Row count will count the number of rows retrieved from the cursor. Here is the format to write fetch functions. Row count is a property, that's why there are no brackets. Here is the final step. In that step we will be closing the connection. The connection which we have created between Python and MySQL, that we need to close. Just like we do in case of files. Here also we have same function, close. It works with connection object. Look at some of the example how to connect and how to work with different queries. Let's follow the step. First we need to import the module. In the second step we are creating connection. Third step is to create cursor object to process the records. Now it's time to write the query and execute it. Here the query is show databases. You know you will get list of databases with this query. And using fetch all function we will be getting it in a variable data that we are printing. Look at the output. We are getting the names of the databases in the form of list of tuple as we have used fetch all function. Here we are trying the second query, that is show tables. The code is same. If you want to print the fetch result set one by one, you can use for loop. Now look at the output. Here the name of the tables are getting printed one by one. Now let's try to understand this important query. Select star from table name. Step number 1, step number 2 and the step number 3 will always be same. With execute command we are writing the query select star from employee. Using fetch all we are fetching the result set and iterating over it we are printing it one by one. Look at the data, we are printing row one by one. We understood the usage of fetch all function. Now what if I will use fetch one function? Fetch one function will fetch only one row. That's why we are getting only one record. In this example, we are trying to use fetch many function. With fetch many, we need to provide the number of records that we have to fetch. As we have mentioned, three rows are getting printed. It's time to check out one more important query, that is insert. Look at the first step. Here is the second step followed by third step. Now let's write insert query with execute function. Insert into table name and here are the values. Please note down this that you will be writing query in triple quotes. If you feel this is very complicated to write whole query in the execute function, you can store it in a variable and then mention that variable in the execute function. I hope you remember all the commands which belongs to DML. For that we created one word UID, update, insert, delete. With this command we change data into the table. If you want to save it permanently, you will be using commit function. With commit function, the changes will get saved to the table permanently. Here we inserted one record. If you want to save that changes permanently, you will be using commit function. That's why whenever you are using update, insert or delete command, use commit function. Here is the syntax. It works with connection object variable. From DML section, we understood how to use insert query. It's time to check the update query now. Here is the update query. Update student personal, set city equals to Pune, where roll number equals to 104. Note that we are writing query in a triple quotes. Provide that variable to the execute function. Don't forget to commit the changes. The similar pattern we will follow when we are trying to delete. Here is the delete query. Delete from student personal where roll number equals to 104. Execute the query, commit the changes. If you want, you can print some message. Alright, let's connect all the pieces of the code into a complete program. In this program, we are going to create a table, and in that we are going to insert some data. After inserting it, we will display it. We are now well familiar with the steps. First step is to import the module. With the second step, we are establishing the connection. Third step is to create the cursor. Look at the query. We are initializing it to one variable. Here is the create table command. Create table product. The first column is PID, second is PName, and third is price. Let's execute the query. Here are the two insert command. With that we are inserting data into it. That we have written directly with the execute function. It's time to display the records. For that we are writing select star from table name. With select command we will be getting result set. That we are fetching with the fetch all function. Ultimately table record is stored in the data variable. If you want to print the records one by one, use for loop. In this program we use one DML command, that is insert. If you want to reflect the changes into the table, then you need to use the commit function that we are using here. And always the final step is to close the connection. Hope you understood all the steps and how to work with MySQL through Python. Here is one more important topic from this chapter, how to create parameterized query. There are two ways to create parameterized query. The old style is with %sign and the new style implements the format function. We will not concentrate much on this style. We will be using format function. But let me tell you this style also in short. First we will be writing string. String is nothing but a query, followed by %symbol and the list of the values. Look at the insert query. Here is a template string, that is F. Then we will be writing %symbol, and followed by %symbol we will be providing the list of the values or list of the variables. In this way PID will get replaced here, PName will get replaced at the second place, and price will get replaced at the third %. One thing we should note down here, if we are passing string parameter, we need to enclose %s in a single quote. Out of these three parameters, PName is a string. That's why we enclosed it in a single quote. Here we directly initialize the values. In this example, we are taking input. It is not a new concept. It is related to formatting of the string that we can do with normal string too. We are writing query in the form of string. That's why those concepts are applicable here too. Now let's try to understand the new style of creating parameterized query. For that we will be using format function. Here is the template. This is nothing but a query in the form of string. Then we will be using format function and providing the values. Look at the simple example. Here we are using select query followed by format function. The format function is associated with string. That's why we are writing dot format. Look at the value 101 where it will get replaced. For that there is a placeholder. We will mention placeholder with the curly brackets. Let's understand that concept with one more query. Here we are trying to write update query. Update product, set price equals to curly braces. This is the first placeholder where PID equals to placeholder 2. It means we need to provide two values. Look at the format function. Here is the first value which will get replaced at price, and the provided second value will get replaced at the second placeholder. In the format function you can pass as many values as you wish. Now let's look at the insert query, how we can write it. Here is the query. Insert into product values. First placeholder, second placeholder and third placeholder. Look at the second placeholder. It is enclosed in a single quotes because the value which we will pass for the second placeholder will be string. If the value you are passing is not string, then no need to enclose the placeholder in a single quote. In the same way, we have written delete query. Delete from product where PID equals to placeholder. 104 will get replaced there. This is an important note. Always write query in a triple quotes. If you will use single triple quotes, it will be well and good. With that, unit number 1 and unit number 2 got over. It's time to check out unit number 2, that is computer networks. This is the part 1. It is a complete theoretical portion, so keep the points in mind. In the first topic, we will try to understand what is network. When we connect devices to each other, it is called as a network. So it is nothing but a collection of interconnected devices. What are the advantages? We can share resources, storage as well as software, and it improves communication. Are there any disadvantages regarding network? Yes, the system in the network should be sophisticated and complex. If it is not managed properly, the services become unusable. In case of client-server design, if server fails, we cannot carry out any work. And file security is also important over the network. Proceeding to the next topic, that is components of the computer network. So here is the list of the different components. In the network, we will have different computers. The main will be server. We have different clients. To connect computers to each other, we need some hardware devices, and even to pass information from one device to another, we need communication channel. We may need some software also for the networking. And finally, there will be some services provided by the network. The first term in networking we use as nodes or host. It is nothing but the devices which are connected over the network. What is server? It is also nothing but a device or computer, but it's the main device which is used for sharing of data, software and hardware. The third term is client. One main computer will be there which is called as server. Other computers are called as clients. So client also is nothing but a node or a host over the network. Here are some of the hardware devices. There are two different communication channels through which data is passed, wired and wireless. There will be some software also used for networking like network protocol and network operating system. Here are the services which are provided by the network like DNS, domain name system, file sharing and some other functionalities we will be getting. Now we are going to discuss the important topic, that is types of network. Based on the geographical area, here are different types of network: LAN, WAN, PAN and MAN. And depending on the role, we have two types: peer-to-peer and client-server. What is local area network? That is LAN. In case of LAN, the computers are spread over 1 kilometer, like in office, building or in a factory. The main advantage of using LAN is resource sharing. As the devices are connected through wires or Wi-Fi, the communication is secure and fast. The second type of network is metropolitan area network. This network is spread over a city within 30 to 40 kilometers. We can connect different LANs also to a MAN. The example is cable network. Here is the third one, that is WAN, wide area network. It spreads over cities, countries or even continents. It provides fast and efficient exchange of information. It is nothing but the internet. It provides high speed at the lower cost. In WAN, the smaller networks are connected to each other. That's why WAN is nothing but a network of many networks. Here is the fourth type of network, that is PAN, personal area network. In PAN, the devices of individual person are connected within 10 meters. We can say within our home. We can use this for personal work or for sharing data. We know inside our home generally we use Wi-Fi connection. Here is the types of the network based on role. First is peer-to-peer. In P2P network, that is peer-to-peer network, each device is considered as a peer. It can work as a client or a server. The main advantage is to share resources. It is suitable for home or small companies. One more point we can note down, it is inexpensive and easy to install. Keep all the points in mind. Now what about client-server network? In this type of network, one device will act as a server which will be main computer and other computers are called as clients. Client will generally send request to the server, then server will process it and respond to the client. In this architectures, all the clients will depend on the server. That's why it is called as centralized system. It is cost efficient. Server will provide the information to all the clients. Remember, the first network is ARPANET. The full form is Advanced Research Project Agency Network. It is started in 1969 by US Department of Defense. Let's discuss about internet. Internet means interconnected network. It is a network of networks. After types of network, we are proceeding to one more important topic, that is switching techniques. Here are the ways in which we transmit data over the network. The first is circuit switching, second is message switching, and the third one is packet switching. In this type of switching, there will be a direct physical line between sender and receiver. The information will pass through over it. Here is the example, local telephone network. Then what about message switching? In this type of switching technique, there is no direct physical connection between sender and receiver. First, the data will send to the switching office. Then from switching office, the data will go to the receiver. Here is the third type of switching technique, that is packet switching. In this type of switching technique also, the information will go to the switching office, but it will break down into smaller packets. Then the packets will opt for the smallest route and then it will reach to the destination. Now let's talk about some data communication terminologies. The first is data channel. It is a medium through which we carry information. Baud is the unit to measure the information capacity of a communication channel. Per second is used to measure the speed of information, which is generally through phone lines or modems. Then what about bandwidth? It refers the amount of data transmitted or received per unit time. The next term is data transfer rate. It is the amount of data transferred per second. Moving ahead to the third important topic, that is transmission media. It is categorized into two types, guided and unguided. There are three types of guided media: twisted pair cable, coaxial cable and optical fibers. Here we are actually providing the physical wiring. And there are total 6 unguided media: microwave, radio wave, satellite microwave, and here there are 3 more: infrared, laser and Bluetooth. First of all, let's talk about guided. The first one is twisted pair cable. Look at the diagram. It is consist of 2 identical wires which are twisted together. Let's remember some of the advantages of twisted pair cable. It is easy to install, low in weight, it can be easily connected, it is inexpensive and flexible. Then what about disadvantages? It is not capable of carrying a signal over a long distance. It has low bandwidth and it supports data rate of 1 Mbps. In twisted pair cable, there are 2 types. The first one is unshielded. Here the copper wire will be without any insulation or shielding. And the second type is shielded twisted pair cable. In this type of cable, the conductors will be shielded with the copper wiring. That's why it provides a protection from the interference. It is costly also and difficult to install. The second guided media is coaxial cable. Look at the diagram. Here is a copper conductor which has a shielding of the insulator, which is protected inside a metal mesh. And this whole setup has a protective layer of a plastic. Look at the advantages. It provides bandwidth up to 400 Mbps. Means compared to twisted pair cable, it has a better transmission rate. It can be used for cable network as well as for broadband transmission. Are there any disadvantages? It is expensive and not compatible with twisted pair cable. There are 2 types of coaxial cable, thick net and thin net. In this, the cable is thicker and in thin net the cable will be thin. Moving ahead to the third guided media, that is optical fiber. With optical fiber, we carry data through light. It has 3 parts: core, cladding and protective covering. Look at the diagram. This white portion is called as core, which can be made of glass or plastic through which light travels. And here is the covering for it, which is called as cladding. This arrangement is protected through the protective covering. Let's keep in mind some of the advantages. It is immune to electrical and magnetic interference, as information is passing in the form of light. It provides secure transmission, that's why it is suitable for industrial environment. We can use it for broadband transmission too. Look at some of the disadvantages. It is fragile, so it needs special care as it is made up of glass. Compared to other 2 guided media, it is expensive. We studied 3 types of guided media. Now it's time to check out for unguided media. The first one is microwave. It is also called as terrestrial microwave. What are these microwaves? These are electromagnetic waves. As there is no physical wiring, it transmits radio signals from one antenna to another. It is also called as line of sight transmission because the signal passes through the atmosphere. Here are the examples of microwave, cellular phones, satellite network and wireless LAN. Electromagnetic waves have frequency between 1 GHz to 300 GHz. Look at the diagram. In this range we will get the microwaves. It's time to check out the advantages of microwave. It is cheaper and it offers freedom from land acquisition right as the transmission is through the atmosphere. We can set up this type of communication over hilly areas or even over ocean. Now look at some of the disadvantages. The communication is insecure. Why? Because it can be moved out of the phase. And the communication may affect due to weather conditions like rain, thunderstorm. The second unguided media is radio waves. These are also electromagnetic waves but it has low frequency. Here is one more property of the radio waves. It is omnidirectional, means it can propagate in all the direction. Here are the examples. We use radio waves in case of FM radio as well as in case of television. Look at the range of the radio waves. It is from 3 kHz to 1 GHz. Look at the diagram. Here is the range of the radio waves. That's why it is a low frequency communication compared to microwaves. Let's look at the sum of the advantages of radio waves. It will also share the advantages of microwaves. It offers mobility, even freedom from land acquisition right. It provides ease of communication over difficult terrain. It is cheaper as we are not digging for laying the cables. Even it will share the disadvantages of microwave, insecure communication and susceptible to weather conditions. The third unguided media is satellite microwave. You know the working of satellite. It accepts the signals from the earth station. It amplifies it and transmits to the other earth station. It is generally used for weather forecasting, radio TV signal broadcasting and for mobile communication. Let's go through some of the advantages. It covers large area. It is easy to install. It is unaffected by the distance. Now look at the disadvantages. For designing and deployment, we need more time and higher cost. As the data transmission is through the atmosphere, so it is susceptible to weather conditions. There are some more unguided media. This is infrared. It uses infrared light. It is used for the communication of short ranges. Electromagnetic waves provide the frequencies between this range. Look at the diagram. Here is the range of the frequency provided by the infrared waves. We use infrared light for TV remotes as well as for wireless speakers. There is one more unguided media, that is laser. For laser transmission, we need direct line of sight. It requires a laser transmitter and a photosensitive receiver. It is a line of sight, that's why it is also called as point-to-point transmission. This transmission is also will be through the atmosphere, that's why it may affect by the weather. Look at this point, it is unidirectional. It travels in only one directional from transmitter to receiver. Here is the last unguided media, that is Bluetooth. It has short range up to 30 feet. Here are some of the examples for Bluetooth, smartphone and speakers. It is a radio wave with low power. Moving ahead to the fourth important topic, network topologies. Topologies means it is a design of the nodes in a network. There are three topologies: star, bus and tree. What is star topology? Here we will have one central hub and all the devices will be connected to that hub. Look at the advantages. Ease of service. It is easy to reconfigure. The second advantage is one device per connection. If there is any failure node in the network, it will not affect the network. We can disconnect it anytime. As it has centralized control, the fault can be easily detected. In this design, we have a central node. That's why the protocols are simple. Now let's read the disadvantages. We need long cable. Because all the devices are connecting directly to the central hub, we need lengthy cables. It is difficult to expand as adding new node involves connection to the central node. The third disadvantage is central node dependency. Whole network depends on the central node. If there is a problem with the central node, whole network will shut down. The second topology is bus, or we can call it as a linear. Look at the diagram. We will have a single length of the transmission media. In this, the data will transfer in the form of packets. Generally, this topology is used in LAN. Here is a single common transmission line, that's why we need short cable length. It is a simple architecture and it is easy to extend. Then what about the disadvantages? Fault diagnosis is difficult. It is not centralized, that's why finding out the faulty node will be difficult. To extend node we are using repeaters, so we need to reconfigure the repeaters every time when we want to add some nodes. Here the nodes are intelligent. As it is connected to the central bus, the node must decide who can use the network. Here is the third and last topology we are going to discuss, that is tree topology. It is a combination of bus and star topology. Look at the diagram. There is a single transmission path as bus topology and all the devices are connected to the centralized hub. That's why it is a combination of bus and star topology. Look at the advantages. It uses point-to-point wiring supported by several hardware and software vendors, flexible and scalable. Then what about disadvantages? It is difficult to configure and if backbone line breaks, entire segment goes down. You know, network means we are connecting different computers to each other. Then how we can identify our computer over the network? For that we have two arrangements. The first is IP address and the second is MAC address. IP address means Internet Protocol address. There are two types of IP address, IPv4 and IPv6. It is used to transport data from one network to another network. It is a logical address. There is one more address called as MAC address. It is a physical address of the network card. Here is the form of the MAC address. With part 1 we understood lot of networking concept. Let's move ahead and find out some more new concepts. Here is the first important topic that we are going to discuss is network devices. You can see here the list of the network devices. Out of that we will be concentrating on modem, hub and switch. But we will be going through other devices also, but in short. The first network device is modem. The word modem is made up of two words, modulator and demodulator. What is the use of modem? It allows you to connect and communicate with other computers, that too through telephone lines. Modem can be internal, which is fixed inside the computer, or it can be external, which is connected externally to the computer. Look at the process of modulation and demodulation. At the sender's computer, digital signals will get converted to analog and this process is known as modulation. Whereas at the end of receiver computer, the analog signal again will get converted to digital and this process is known as demodulation. Alright then, let's remember what is modulation, digital to analog conversion, and the reverse process is demodulation, analog to digital conversion. The second network device is RJ45, registered jack 45. Look at the diagram, it is an 8-wire connector. Majorly used in Ethernet networking, it provides 10 Mbps of transfer rate. The third is Network Interface Card, that is NIC. It has a unique address called MAC address. As it is a network device, it is used to connect computers and server so that we can share data over the network. Moving ahead to the next network device, that is Ethernet card. Ethernet card is a type of network interface card. For connection, it uses coaxial or twisted pair cables. It serves as a bridge between computer and the network. Data transfer rate is up to 10 Gbps. Have a look at the next network device, that is hub. Hub will have multiple ports so that we can connect multiple computers. Remember one more point, that hub broadcasts the message to all the nodes in the computer. But only target node will receive the message and others will ignore it. There are two types of hub, passive and active. Passive hub will allow to pass signal from one computer to another, but there will be no change in the signal. Whereas in case of active hub, it amplifies the signals. The next important network device is switch. It is just like hub, but it is called as a smart hub. Obviously, it is used to connect devices over a network. Alright, let's discuss about the next network device, that is repeater. Over a long distance, the signal will get weakened. For that we need repeaters. Repeaters will amplify the signals and restore it. For that purpose, repeaters will be installed along the way. Proceeding to the next one, that is bridge. Bridge is a device which is used to link two networks together. In real life also you know what is the use of bridge. Here also the same concept is applicable. It can connect multiple smaller LANs to a larger LAN. The next network device is router. It is just like bridge, but it can handle different protocols. Where data is shared from one network to another, the network can be of different types. Here is one more network device. It is used to connect dissimilar network. It connects different types of networks together. Finally, we are at the last network device, that is Wi-Fi card. We use Wi-Fi card for PC for our personal use. In this way, we studied 11 network devices. Moving ahead to the second important topic of this chapter, that is network protocol. Protocol is nothing but rule. When we share data over the network, we need to follow certain rules. That is nothing but a protocol. Here are the common protocols we will be studying: HTTP, FTP, TCP/IP, SLIP and PPP. And for forwarding mail, here is the list of the protocols that we are gonna use: IMAP, POP, SMTP and HTTP. Let's discuss the first protocol, that is HTTP. Description is not that much important, but remember the full form. HTTP is a set of rules. What is the use of HTTP? It is used for transferring hypertext. Hypertext can be anything: text, graphics, image, sound or video. Here is one more version of HTTP, that is HTTPS. It is called as a secure version of HTTP. That's why in this HTTPS, S stands for secure. It is secure because it transfers data in the encrypted form. The second protocol is FTP, that is File Transfer Protocol. It is used for exchanging files across internet. The third important protocol is TCP/IP. TCP means Transmission Control Protocol and IP means Internet Protocol. From these IP addresses, we know why we use to identify the target computer over the network where we are sending the data. And TCP part provides the reliable delivery of the messages. Moving ahead to the fourth protocol. SLIP means Serial Line Internet Protocol and PPP means Point-to-Point Protocol. Here, SLIP is for delivering IP packets over dial-up lines, whereas PPP is used for transmitting IP packets over serial line. That's why PPP is more developed than SLIP. Now let's discuss some of the protocols that we are going to use while sending email. The first one is IMAP, Internet Message Access Protocol. This is used for accessing email from the server. It holds the email for the user. The second one is POP3, Post Office Protocol 3. Keep in mind the full form of the protocols. It allows user to access mailboxes and download messages. The third protocol is used for email is SMTP, Simple Mail Transfer Protocol. When sender sends mails to the recipient, this protocol is used. The fourth protocol is HTTP. Even we will be using it for email transfer. It is used for composing and retrieving mail. Alright, then let's move ahead to the next topic. Here are some of the wireless and mobile computing technology. Look at the list of the technologies. Out of this, you know what is SMS, chats and video conferencing. Even we are familiar with these different generations. Okay, then let's start discussing the first wireless technologies, that is GSM, Global System for Mobile. Let me tell you once again, definition is not important. Remember full forms. It is a mobile communication standard used to transmit mobile voice and data services from 2G onwards. For communication in mobile, we use SIM card. The full form is Subscriber Identity Module. SIM is nothing but a tiny chip. With that, we will be getting one unique phone number. It has memory, processor and ability to interact with the user. The second one is Wireless in Local Loop, WLL. This is implemented where subscriber is connected to the exchange through radio link instead of physical copper wire. The third technology is GPRS. The full form is General Packet Radio Services. You know the usage of GPRS we use in mobile device for transferring data between mobile device and internet. Here are the different generations of wireless technology. It is started around 1980. Followed by 2G, it is launched in 1990. The next version is the enhanced version of 2G, that is 2.5G. The next generation is 3G. It is introduced in 2000. Then in the late 2000 we got 4G. It provides faster data rates. Even you can stream high quality videos on mobile devices. We know the latest is 5G. This is the fifth generation of wireless communication technology. And the provided speed is almost 100 gigabytes per second. With this you can download ultra high definition videos and access the internet at the lightning fast speed. Here are some other options with which we can communicate. SMS is short message service through which we can send or receive short messages. The second one is chat. In real time we can send the textual message. Followed by video conferencing. It's a two-way video phone conversation in which there can be multiple participants. Here is one more important protocol, that is Voice over Internet Protocol. Remember the full form. With the help of this technology, we will be communicating through voice. It's just like a WhatsApp call. Now let's discuss some of the terms and concepts related to internetworking. These are quite well familiar terms. The first is WWW. Full form is World Wide Web. It is nothing but a set of protocols that we will be following to access any document on the internet. The second is Telnet. Full form is Teletype Network. It lets you to log into the remote computer system. What's the web browser? It is used to display web pages. Here are some of the examples of web browser. Any two names are sufficient: Google Chrome and Microsoft Edge. The next term is web browser. It is a www server. It will give response for the request made by the browser. The fifth term we are gonna discuss is web page. Web page is nothing a document on the internet. Then what is website? It is nothing but a collection of web pages. Just like book, it is a collection of pages. Moving ahead to the next important topic, URL. Full form is Uniform Resource Locator. It is an unique address of the resource available on internet. Look at the format. First we are writing the secured form of HTTP, that is HTTPS. It is a protocol, followed by the domain name. And here is the path of the particular resource or particular web page on the internet. We know that now URL consists of three parts: protocol, domain name and path. What's the domain name? It is a name or address of the server. Domain name will have two parts. First part is website name and the extension. Here are some of the extension. What is web hosting? It is nothing but uploading the content on the internet so that it is available to any browser client. Here are the different versions of the web. Now let's talk about the next important topic, that is HTML. The full form is Hypertext Markup Language. It is used to design web pages. We can include text, images and other media also. It has fixed set of tags with the help of which we will be designing the web pages. There is one more type of markup language. It is called as XML, Extensible Markup Language. In case of HTML we have predefined tags, but in case of XML there are no predefined tags. We can define our own tags. HTML displays data which is static, but with XML you can design your dynamic content. Remember two differences. You will be getting question like this. Here is a variation of HTML, that is DHTML, Dynamic HTML. In this we can compile HTML, CSS and JavaScript to design web pages. We design web page, but we need to add some functionality to it. For that we will be writing scripting. So writing script in the web page is known as web scripting. It is nothing but a list of commands. The famous scripting language is JavaScript. There are two types of scripting, client side and server side. The scripting which we do at the client end is called as client side scripting, and the scripting which we do at the server side is called as server side scripting. We are sharing data over the network, so it's our responsibility to protect it. So here are some of the protection mechanism: authorization, authentication, biometric system and firewall. The first mechanism is authentication, in which we are verifying the identity of the user. For that we can accept some credential from the user and validate them. The second concept is authorization. It's the process in which we will grant or deny access to the user based on the identity of the user. Generally we will be doing this with login ID. There are some more protection mechanism. Here is biometric system, with the help of which we can identify a person using the person's body's unique aspect like fingerprint or retinal pattern. One more option, we have to install firewall. Firewall comes both in hardware format and even in software form. It is used to prevent unauthorized access. So in this way we studied 4 types of protection mechanisms. It's time to discuss some terminologies related to network security. First is cookies. It is nothing but a text file or message which server will transmit to the browser so that they can keep track of the user's activity. Based on it only we will get suggestions. The second term is hacker. Hackers are nothing but people who will try to hack our device but with good intention. Then what's this term crackers? Crackers are also people but they don't have good intention. With some bad motives they will try to hack your system. Now you understood the difference between hacker and crackers. Here is the fourth term, cyber law. Cyber law is nothing but a legal aspects of the internet and www. Now we are going to discuss some ways with our system will get infected. First is virus. Virus is nothing but a program which requires a host, just like a biological virus. Without human body, virus cannot spread. In the same way, this program also needs some device. And we know the main characteristic of the virus, it will replicate. Here are the types of viruses, file infector and boot sector virus. Here is the famous example of virus, Trojan horse. Read the story behind it, it's very interesting. This is also nothing but a program. It is harmless but deletes the file or damages the file. The first category of malicious program we saw, that is virus. Here is the second type, that is worms. It is also a malicious program. Malicious means harmful. And just like virus, it can replicate too. Then what's the difference? It doesn't require host. Moving ahead to the third category of harmful programs. It is called as malware. This word made up of 2 terms, malicious software. Obviously, it will have some harmful intent. The first is spyware. As the name suggests, it will spy on your activity and can gather information like password, PIN and banking information. The second type of malware is adware. It is also an unwanted software responsible for displaying the ads to your computer. What's the third one? Ransomware. You know the meaning of ransom. It is also a type of software. Using encryption, it will make your system data inaccessible, and to unlock it, you need to give some ransom. Here is one more harmful program, that is keyloggers. It can be in the form of hardware or software that keeps track of your keystrokes. As you type anything, it will get recorded. We studied some harmful softwares. Now we will study some network security threats. The first one is snooping. It refers to opening and looking through the files in an unauthorized manner. The second is eavesdropping. It's an attack in which attackers gain access to the communication medium and listens to the communication and gets the information. So attackers through your communication line can get your personal or confidential information. The third attack is known as denial of service, DOS. It is a type of cyber attack which prevents the services to the intended users. What about other intrusion attack? It is an illegal activity carried out in a digital network. So be alert and be careful while using internet. Don't share your personal information or bank or credit card information to any unknown person. And there you have it. We have covered the entire portion in one video. I hope you found it helpful and informative. I want to remind you to have patience and give it your all. Learning computer science isn't always easy, but with determination and perseverance, you can conquer anything. Good luck with your exams. Now it's your turn. I want to hear from you in the comments below. How did it go? Did you feel prepared? Let me know. I will be waiting to cheer you on. So until next time, stay healthy, stay confident, give your 100%. Good luck.